Good evening. Welcome to City of Cerritos regular City Council meeting and the success agency of Cerritos Development Agency, Thursday, February 22nd, 2024. Uh, Madam Clerk, invocation will be given by Vida Baron, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be given by Cerritos Youth Basketball League Girls PV Division Team Spark. At this
Please stand. Let us pray. Let us still our minds and open our hearts to our humble words of prayer. We ask your blessing on this meeting in which we come together motivated by the privilege to be of service to others. We give grateful thanks for this opportunity to make a lasting contribution to our community and ask for your divine guidance in these endeavors. Amen.
Thank you. Young ladies, would you like to introduce yourself? Girls, do you want to introduce yourself one by one?
Okay. My
Say-
name.
No, just say in the mic. Say
My
your
name-
name, what grade are you in, what school you go to.
Okay. Hi, my name is Shaylin, and I'm in third grade, and I go to Frank C. Leo Elementary.
Hi, my name is Zian De Los Santos. I'm in third grade and I go to Nixon Academy.
Hi, my name is Layla. I'm in third grade and I go to Nemus Elementary.
My name is Sophia Long, and I'm in fourth grade, and I go to Mary Bragg Elementary.
Hello, my name is Renard De Los Santos. I am in third grade and I go to Whitman Elementary.
Hello, my name is Naya Herrera, and I'm in second grade, 8 years old, and I go to Gonzalez Elementary School.
Hi, my name. Hi, my name is Brooklyn. I'm 9 years old and I'm in fourth grade and I go to Gonzalez Elementary School.
All right, all of you, good job. Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you have roll call, please? Before the roll call, I'd like to excuse our Mayor, Bruce Barrows, who could not be here tonight for personal reason.
I'll second that.
There is a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Solanki and a second by Council Member Vo to excuse Mayor Barrows from tonight's meeting. If we can activate the electronic voting.
I'm pushing it 5, 6, 7, 8 times. It is not working.
And we can do a roll call vote if that is the pleasure. Oh, let's see. there we go. The motion passes by a vote of 4-0. Thank you very much. And at this time, I will conduct a roll call vote. Roll call. Council and Agency Member Johnson.
Present.
Council and Agency Member Vo.
Present.
Council and Agency Member Yokoyama.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem and Vice Chair Solanki.
Here,
And Mayor Pro Tem and Vice Chair Solanki will be the presiding officer for tonight's meeting.
thank you. Okay, next item, we have the presentation which we have tonight on a business spotlight. Ken Inoue, State Farm Insurance Agent. City of Cerritos showcase a local business every month to foster pride in Cerritos' thriving business community and strong local economy. A proclamation will be presented to Ken Inoue State Farm Insurance Agency for being selected as part of the city's business recognition program. Since 1991, Ken Inouye State Farm Insurance Agency has served Cerritos community with a wide varieties of State Farm insurance product, including automobile, home, condominium, renters, and business insurance, in addition to life insurance and financial products. Kenanoy State Farm Insurance Agency has team of 5 licensed and qualified professionals with over 100 combined years of experience. Their service include one-on-one assistance to client to help manage the risk of everyday life, recovery from unexpected occurrence, and realize their dreams. Ken Inouye State Farm Insurance Agency sells only State Farm products. State Farm is the largest property and casualty insurance provider and the largest auto insurance provider in the United States. The State Farm is ranked 42nd in 2022 Fortune 500 list with the rank American companies by revenue. Ken Inouye State Farm Insurance Agency is located at 11010 Artesia Boulevard, Cerritos, California, 90703. Their phone number is 562-865-5228. Their website is keninouye.com, and their hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. With that, I'd like to have Ken come to the stage here. Thank you. We'd like to present you with a proclamation, but before I say, would you like to say some words?
Sure. So happy to be here, and thank you for this recognition. It's really appreciated. I tried to dress the part as Jake from State Farm. I'm sorry, I'm not Jake, but I'm here to represent State Farm. As you mentioned, I've been in the city of Cerritos and a State Farm agent for 33 years. Basically half my lifetime. And there can't be, a better city or a better company to represent than State Farm. Our whole idea is to provide the best possible service that we can, face-to-face service. And, I know that times are changing, but face-to-face is still a great way to do business. So, as you mentioned, we're located on the corner of Studebaker and Artesia. Drop in anytime, give us a call, and we'd be happy to help you out. So, thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Congratulations. I'd like to have my council colleagues come for the picture.
Three photos, please. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And one more. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys. Thank you. Thank you now. Nice to meet you. All right. Nice to meet you.
Okay, next we have is the public comments. But before the public comments, I'd like to give general comments. At this time, we will move to item number 6, comments on the consent calendar and item not listed on the agenda, but within the subject matter judicial of City Council. I'd like to remind all the public speaker and the attendees in the audience to be respectful during the meeting and use respectful language during the public comments. We value your input, and City of Cerritos does not honor the rights of the public to address the council on a manner within the city's subject matter jurisdiction. We also kindly ask and remind everyone that state law and our local rules of decorum do not support the use of profanity, hateful speech, or conduct during our meetings that unlawful, disturb, or impede to orderly discussion and consideration of the city's business. Public speakers are reminded to direct their comments only to the mayor and the city council. Please be advised that the mayor may, and tonight it will be a mayor pro tem, may order a recess in the event that there is a profanity, hateful speech, or conduct that unlawful disturb the order conducting the meeting. Additionally, please be advised that if any unlawful disruption of the council meeting continue after being given warning by the mayor or mayor pro tem. Person who continue to unlawfully disturb the meeting will be required to leave the council chambers, and city has allowed pursuant to state law. The city clerk will provide additional information concerning written comments received for this meeting. Madam City Clerk.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. Written comments submitted by the deadline listed on the agenda are considered public record. Prior to the meeting, the council and agency members received full-text, unredacted copies of all written comments submitted for items listed on the agenda, including general public comments. Public requests for copies of the written comments submitted for this meeting can be made during regular business hours to the office of the City Clerk Treasurer. At this time, I will read the name and summary of written comments received for item number 6. The following individuals requested the City Council support the calling for a ceasefire in Palestine: Darcy Levine, Amanda Moore, Sarah Ree, Samir Kadil Kher, Adam Rashid, Thinker 62,000, Maribel Magana, Christina Magana, Taufik Bakrani, Evelyn Magana, Sabiha Khan, Alexandria Cornejo, Elizabeth Ramos, Rhonda Swice, Hidayah Aberwine, Bilal Shalan, Michael Amutan, Rashid Adam Albarudi, Jenna Alba, Hasina Mirza, Nicolette Ponce, Zachariah Ganem, Jawahir Mohammed, Hidayah Aberwine, Edwin Morales, Jasmine Guzman, Jorge Chavez, Ibrahim Ganem, Mirabel Chavez, Michael Waschek, Rita Shrabi, Carolina Kotam, Kayla Villarreal, Lucero Castaneda, Christian Hernandez, Sabrina Valdez, Brianna Para.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, we will open the floor to in-person public comments. We will call upon those who have submitted speaker cards. Please approach the podium once your name has been called. Remember, there is 3 minutes limit per speaker. Also, the council appreciate not repeating the same statement of prior speaker, and instead briefly summarize an agreement or disagreement with the prior comments, as all speaker and their comments will be part of the public record. Thank you. Madam City Clerk or Brenda will call the speakers.
The first speaker is Ayana Bhatt.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, respected council members, city staff, and residents. My name is Ayana Bhatt, and I am a senior at Whitney High School. Cerritos has been my home my whole life, and my roots are deeply embedded here. I've also been a Girl Scout almost my whole life, and finally, when it was time to prepare for my Girl Scout Gold Award project, I wanted to give back to my community and the city I love the most. So I decided that my project would be on the historical journey of Cerritos. I created a self-guided walking tour map of the historical sites in Cerritos and an interactive map. I will share this with you all. I also have a link that I will share with the city staff so they can share it with you. The interactive map pinpoints 10 locations in our city, and when you click on these sites, you can read more about its historical significance. I've also connected with local elementary schools in hopes that they might incorporate my project in their curriculum. I will be leading 2 walking tours beginning from the entrance of the Cerritos Library on Saturday, February 24th at 12:30 p.m. and a second tour on Sunday, the 25th at 3 p.m. I would encourage all of you to join me on this wonderful journey. Ever since I started with this project, I've had overwhelming support from our community members, and I can't thank everyone enough. Ms. Annie Hilton has been my biggest support for all the resources I've needed for this project, and so has all the feedback I received from our council members, our staff, and the residents of the city. My project also involves the perspectives of longtime residents who I interviewed. In fact, Councilmember Yokoyama was kind enough to share me stories of his own experiences studying in the Cerritos Library and how the city has evolved since then. I will be presenting the library with my completed portfolio next week. I'm extremely excited to share this with you all, and I thank you for your time today. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I just have a question. Where is the meeting place for Sunday, February 25th at 3 p.m.
So the walking tour will begin from the entrance of the Cerritos Library. So right by the doors, the double doors, you'll see me there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next speaker is Emmanuel Ronquillo.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Emmanuel Ronquillo. Likewise, I was also a Whitney student myself. I have lived in Cerritos since 2009, and I'm proud to call the city my home. That pride, however, has faltered recently, as has a lot of my pride and stress and worries and fears here in this country and here in this global environment that we all understand is kind of one of the main talking points today. I'm here to ask the city to draft and support a ceasefire resolution, much like for calling for a ceasefire in Palestine, much in the same way that other cities throughout the United States have in previous months. I was here 2 weeks ago, and I plan on continuing to be here because this is a cause that I think is really important. And I know that conversations around this topic often get thrown aside due to like complications around the geopolitical matter or whatever it might be. But I want to just talk about plain and simple facts. And that is that since the last time that I was here, the death toll in Gaza has elevated to roughly 30,000 people having been killed on this assault in Palestine. Over 1 million people have been pushed into Rafah, a small city on the border on the border of Palestine, bordering Egypt, that has been facing relentless assault since February 11th, when the Super Bowl was happening and Americans were distracted, and the Israeli Defense Force, as they have historically been proven to do, has taken a chance and an opportunity when the international community is distracted, even for a moment, to escalate their attacks. I will admit, right now I'm a little bit frazzled because it's been hard just going through my day knowing that innocent children and people are being killed for an unjust cause. Seeing the youth basketball team here earlier today, I was frightened because I was going to have to talk, and I was going to talk about this, and I was going to have to talk about children being killed, and seeing those elementary school children who have a very fortunate life right now, lucky to live in Cerritos, lucky to get the opportunities they have, and seeing the bodies of children being massacred in Gaza daily, because I refuse to look away and I refuse to be silent about this matter. As a last note, previous comments at the City Council meeting noted that Cerritos had contributed roughly $570,000 to military funding for the Israeli defense for Israel. I would like to clarify the source of where that came from. That came from the U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Rights that calculated the proportion of federal taxes that cities send to the U.S. government and proportioned it out to like how much Cerritos sends and how much of that the U.S. federal budget is sending to Israel. So I understand that Cerritos does not send any money internationally. However, we are still responsible for the federal taxes that we send.
Your time is up, sir.
And what the government is using that money for. Thank you.
The next speaker is Case Vanderlinden.
Good evening, Case Vanderlinden, living here since 1971. I think you better change your 5 minutes to your 3 minutes that you now only allow, because you're still showing 5 minutes.
We're only allowing 3 minutes today.
Beg your pardon?
We are allowing 3 minutes only today.
For today only?
Yes.
Or maybe I should wait my comments for next week then, because I have too much over here to get it all cramped into 5 minutes, 3 minutes. But the bottom line is, my concern is safety in Cerritos. As perhaps most of you know, that I've been for the last 2 weeks on a campaign to get that private road behind our residents, and these are all people that live on Sequoia and Valencia, to have that private road secured. More than anything else, to have that private road that belongs to the county changed such a fashion that it's not as easy accessible because right now it is accessible. And as you all know, the way the burglaries go, it is surveillance up front and then possibly entry from the back or from the side. Well, that road has access to about 30 or 40 homes on that stretch, maybe not 40 homes, but for sure more than 20. It took me a whole week to get that gate locked. I think Vo was very helpful, but the bottom line is I've written emails to Janice Hahn to only be shuffled to some other person, and the bottom line was that only the individual with the county who I have dealt in the past took action and got that gate closed, but still not close to the point that it is secured with a vandal-proof cut-proof chain or a cut-proof lock. I mean, if everybody is concerned that these locks get cut, then in the first place, for $69, you can go on Amazon and buy a cut-proof chain with a cut-proof lock. Furthermore, I have some doubt that the sheriff department is communicating to the city the various break-ins. We had on the 18th a break-in right across the street from us during the day. I still don't see that on the report. There was the beginning of this week a break-in down the cul-de-sac from us. I'm not so sure that that's going to hit the report. So somewhere online, I would think that I can categorize this as underreporting. We have quite a bit of stuff happening here in Cerritos on a weekly basis. I forwarded today to our group a suspicious car, just checking the neighborhood out. Somewhere online, I think there could be a better method from the city to communicate that to the residents. Right now, we have our local communication on WhatsApp that we can report, but not everybody is on it, unfortunately. But there should be an easier way to check that out and see what the status is. I'm not sure that any individual would take the time out to do it, but I mean, that would be the beginning. Anyhow, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sam Desai.
Honorable.
Can you correct the time, please? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Council. My name is Sam Desai. I'm resident of Cerritos. There are a few things that I would like to share. The first thing is I want to invite the residents of Cerritos on July 4th for a pickleball tournament between residents and the council. So it's a challenge to the council. And the good thing is we have selected CPE as an ideal place. And I would like to propose to the sitting council members and our manager to consider having our attorney there present in case there is any disagreements. After all, it's a friendly game, and for the manager to be potentially our referee, it would be great. July 4th is more than 90 days away, and if we can allocate $80,000, we can have a pickleball court at CPE. Majority of the residents are going to remember you for doing, well, what residents want. So thank you for that. Second thing, I did see it was 5 minutes. I prepared for 5 minutes. I don't mind playing with the agenda rules. And on calendar 7, consent calendar 7, if a citizen so requests for 7A, for 7B, for 7C, we can request public speaking time. So 3 minutes over there, we will be able to speak and add few things which is relevant to the consent calendar. So please consider that. There is also something else going on. Olympics is coming.
Who's giving the time?
And
Okay, thank you.
yes, please. Someone, please keep the time. Give me 10 seconds, please. Olympics are coming, and pickleball is one of the games which may be there, but there's cricket, another game. A lot of us love cricket. And Council Member Solanki, Mr. Vo, Frank, Linda, if you can talk to supervisors and see how our city can also participate, it would be amazing. For consent calendar line 7, I'm not sure if we are going to be able to do a public speaking. If you can clarify after my 3 minutes are over, I would appreciate that. But meanwhile, Council, please do not forget.
3
this
minutes
challenge-
over, Sam.
Oh, it's over? Okay,
Yes,
so really
thank you.
quickly, just last thing. Residents versus Council, pickleball, July 4th. I'm inviting you, and please say yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Mel Cortez.
Good evening, everyone. I'm surprised the time was changed to 3 minutes. I understand why, but it has never happened before that I recall. Even we had lots of people here. So I'm here to talk about a little bit about Neighborhood Watch. We're not consistent with our social media sheriff to post about the 9 p.m. checklist, to remind residents to remove valuables from their vehicles, lock the doors, close the overhead garage door, lock the inner garage door, close and lock the exterior doors, windows, turn the exterior lights on, and set your alarms on. So I try to do my neighborhood. Be nice. I'm not sure who runs the social media for our sheriff, but we're not consistent with that, maybe once a month. I'm speaking about Neighborhood Watch because my neighborhood has been get hit hard for the past week. Sunday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, last night, people came in the middle of the night, maybe between 1 and 3 in the morning, through different streets. One of them, there's a car in the middle of the street. There's 2 guys on the right, 2 guys on the left, and they're walking like if they're shopping at Walmart somewhere. And we did call the sheriff. They came once. The other night, I'm not sure if our residents called because they saw it afterwards. I did call for extra patrols. I think that night our sheriff was busy because I did not see any extra patrols. I called today to see if we get extra patrols in my neighborhood. If they're that busy, hopefully they'll show up. But that's 4 nights in a row that people have been coming to my neighborhood. And I know one of our speakers talk about crime. They only were able to break into 1 car because we're about 150 strong in my neighborhood. So we're watching, and we know that we don't leave anything inside the cars. And also, the lights are on, and we communicate. But other neighborhoods don't have that. So I encourage everyone to join your Neighborhood Watch. We miss the Deputy Sham. In 2022, some of you went to all those Neighborhood Watch meetings in the summer, the year before, and last year we had nothing. I know any of you were invited to any of those. You were not because nothing happened. Deputy Sham left, and no one organized anything. The year before, we were really busy. I know the city we got things to raffle. This year, I'll wait. If nothing happens around May, I think I could do it myself. I'll just contact the Neighborhood Watch groups, and maybe I'll organize the whole thing.
Well, your time is 3 minutes up.
I prepare for 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Ian Jameson.
Evening, Ian Jameson. the Johns Hopkins University and the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine just published a study reporting that 85,570 Palestinians may well die in the 6 months ensuing from the beginning of the Israeli assault on Gaza. This is a genocide. This is compared to the 1,140 Israelis who were killed on October 7th. There is no comparison in terms of the number of fatalities or the respective military forces. Israel is an occupying power. It is motivated by ethno-nationalism. All ethno-nationalism, Jewish, white, black, doesn't matter, is racism. And all racism leads to this kind of genocidal dehumanization. This city council must pass a resolution condemning the present genocide. Thank you.
Michael Waschek.
Hello, all. The last funds that our United States has done $95 billion to continue the genocide. That money can be used for our schools, for having solar panels on our roofs, having dark sky fixtures, and we need to do something. Thank you.
Fawzia Uzman.
Honorable city members, I've been Cerritos resident since 2008, and I love the city, and we lived here for first 2 years, and then we bought our home. We love everything about it. I'm here as a Cerritos resident, to show support in solidarity for Palestinians. And I'm a Muslim, I'm a South Indian, and one thing that I wanted to clear is the brothers and sisters in Palestinians are just like humans, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters. It's the same pain, it's the same blood that goes from when we prick our finger, it's the same blood that also drops there, it's not ketchup. And as humans, we need to have we have to have that compassion towards our fellow humans. And I'm telling this as a Muslim, and I'm also telling this as a human, and I really support what Cerritos does. Thank you so much.
Rafiq Ahmed.
Thank you for your time. I'm really saddened and not depressed because as you all, most of us, we believe in God. So whatever happens, it's like a dark cloud is going to pass away. So I'm here to support Palestinian people who suffer in Gaza and West Bank. They are not just Muslims, they are other religious people out there, even non-religious people also. Basically, they are humans. And as just an ordinary American citizen and Cerritos resident, I'm just standing up here tall as a brave man to support Palestinians because they're just asking for their freedom. They're not asking anything. When you ask the media and other people, they think it's a very complicated issue. It's not a complicated issue. It's a very simple issue. Israel have to leave Palestinian occupied land and they go where they belong. So the problem will be solved very simple. So what we are asking right now, because every second, every minute, every hour, people are being murdered. People are being bombarded with rockets and ammunition. Of course, it's not a rocket science to understand, but they are using our rockets, our tax money to do this murderous project, this genocide. So as a Cerritos resident, as an American citizen, we should stand up for the justice and the freedom for all. Thank you very much for your time.
Rodolfo Cortez.
So thank you again, council members. I think it's really important that we continue on with the wonderful Cerritos tradition of fairness, of humanitarianism, of equality, right? We very proudly say in our agenda every meeting, we say, for example, under invocation, whereas other cities will have a religious figure from only one faith start the meeting. Cerritos always treats its citizens fairly. It notes that the California Court of Appeals has concluded that sectarian prayer as part of the city council meetings is not permitted under the Constitution. So Cerritos has a really, a long history of standing up for what's right. And that's why I am joining all of the rest of the speakers in asking you, we need a ceasefire resolution here in the city of Cerritos. And again, it just goes to show how, we are a humanitarian community. We've always have been here. Right here at the library, I've been studying here for a long time, and so have many other wonderful, younger people. And we are taught by our teachers that it's important to stand up for really all humanity, and that's what you need to do. You need to tell our congressional representatives that enough is enough. This has gone on for far too long. It's as other speakers are saying, it's a genocide. That's what's happening now. Ask yourselves, maybe you haven't seen it, maybe you're not on the social media, which is more where most of this is seen. I saw one particular case that totally broke my heart very early on. It was a little boy who was holding on to maybe his sister, younger, probably like a 2-year-old or something. And then he was looking for his brother, who he found like across the street after a big bombing, maybe like a 4-year-old. So you have this maybe 6-year-old boy, really desperately trying to care for his siblings, and you see that same situation everywhere else because childhoods are being lost, right? Most of the deaths have been children, so we do not stand for that here in our beautiful, wonderful city of Cerritos. It is time to look at the examples set by Long Beach, Montebello, Cudahy, and so many other cities to say loudly and proudly, cease fire now. Thank you.
Margaret Villa. Margaret Villa.
The timer will commence when you start speaking, ma'am.
I would like to say good evening, but it's not. I woke up today and I sadly seen how nothing was put on the agenda for this. This is our 8th week here, but no movement. Mayor, with this, I want to say this really quickly. With this overwhelming public interest in a ceasefire, it was pretty cringeworthy the last time we were here when we had to listen to Mr. Yokoyama tell us or question the city clerk about the validity of the numerous emails that came in for a ceasefire. He questioned the validity with the signatures or absence of signatures, I guess. And I'm wondering, that was such a petty reason to take up time with your city clerk and address it with the attorneys. I wonder if you've ever done that before when you had a packed house here for victims of crime. Did you question the validity of all those emails that arrived at this city office? I wonder. But anyway, the real meat and potatoes. The real reason that I'm here is to answer a question that was asked by me recently regarding the adoption of HR 786, and that question was, what good will it do by the city voting for a resolution? And it's really simple. Cerritos adopting this, you're making a statement collectively with all the other 70 cities that you too will not take part with crimes against humanity. You will not take part in the extermination of human life. That Cerritos will be on the right side of history and include themselves in this movement to help galvanize a mass resistance against genocide. I've said this before, and it's worth repeating. The Pope has asked for a ceasefire, but you sit here tonight and every night with this hypocrisy prayer. That's what it's called, because we're supposed to pray to ask for judgment, ask for direction to help us with decision making. But we've been here every 2 weeks for 8 weeks, and you can't even do the bare minimum. Put it on the agenda. That's all we're asking for is a vote. Also, this was addressed to the mayor. I see he's not here tonight. I believe he was in violation of the Brown Act. The last time I was here, you interrupted a young lady who was playing an audio of President Truman discussing the occupation of Palestine. That audio was a component of the same subject matter she was addressing. I tried educating myself much as possible and read some of the Brown Act. Mayor, aren't all words free speech?
Your timer is
Are
up.
words public record? Why didn't the city attorney intervene and correct this? Tonight, I'm not able to play it because you reduced our time.
Al Barlevy. Al Barlevy.
Good evening, council members. My name is Al Barlevy. I've been Cerritos homeowners for 25 years. Similar to the other speakers that came before you, I do hope for an end to this war. But in contrast to all the other speakers, I'm not anti-Semitic about it. I'm not racist and I'm not bigoted like the other speakers. Now, we didn't hear anything that says we hate the Jews, slaughter the Jews, murder the Jews. So we have to unpack what they said to get to the slaughter the Jews, murder the Jews, okay?
Sir, do not disturb the speaker.
So when they say ceasefire now, what they mean is Jews do not have the right to defend themselves. There was a ceasefire on October 6th. Hamas violated that ceasefire. They went in and murdered 1,200 people, took an additional 240 people hostage, okay? And then they also raped, and they also committed unspeakable rapes. And when all those racist, bigoted anti-Semites say that Israel is committing genocide, what they really mean is Israel is thwarting Hamas's plans for genocide. You saw what Hamas did on October 7th. This is not new. Here's a photo of Palestinian leader Amin al-Husseini meeting with Adolf Hitler in 1941 to see how the Palestinians and the Nazis can work together to solve the Jewish problem and murder all the Jews. Nothing changed since then, okay? So basically, and I have personal stakes in this. I have a cousin who lives in Netivot, which is 6 miles from the Gaza border. Luckily, Hamas sent only a small group of terrorists to Netivot, so they were stopped before it was possible, before they could get in. So my cousin survived unharmed. And I want to also talk about that 30,000 people that died in Gaza. That number is from Hamas. No one's challenging it, so I won't challenge it either. But that number includes armed militants, which are fair game because they go into Israel and trying to commit genocide. And also, it includes Palestinians that die from Hamas fire. There was a video of a Hamas missile misfiring and hitting a hospital, 500 people killed, that's counted. Okay, and as Councilmember Vo knows from his day job as a police officer, when there's there's fire between police and a shooter, any innocent civilian is the responsibility of the shooter. If I can have a few more seconds because I got disrupted.
I understand.
I got disrupted. So just a few more seconds. So
but time is, it's only 3 minutes, Erlan.
Right. Just a few more seconds because they disrupted me. So I recommend doing nothing. But if you really want to, unmask all that anti-Semitism, why don't you pass a resolution in favor of a ceasefire with Hamas laying down their arms?
Thank you.
Krisha Vallejos. Krisha Vallejos.
All the speakers are reminded, please be respectful to the speaker.
Hello, City Council members. My name is Krisha Vallejos. I've been living in SoCal for my entire life. Cerritos must pass the resolution that supports Congressional Resolution HR 786 for a permanent ceasefire in Palestine. I'm going to guess that all of us here had a good lunch and maybe a good dinner, and maybe we'll have a good breakfast and a hot shower tomorrow, but Palestinians have none of that. They have no shelter. They're eating grass and straw, risking being shot just to get flour, getting sniped at while attempting to go to the hospital. There are no safe hospitals. There are no safe spaces. The genocide must end. As American politicians, you have more power than any other country in the world that has to end the suffering of the Palestinian people. America directly funds majority of the weapons and that are being sent to kill Palestinians. And Congress continues to try to push billions more dollars, not even towards humanitarian aid, but towards more weapons, more murder. Every day, I wake up and witness the atrocities Israel commits on social media, and every day, all I can think about is the Palestinian people and how badly I want to do more for them. But I literally cannot do anything else but stand in front of city council members and you all, our representatives, to ask you all to please rally in our support. Millions of people around the world also are desperately waiting specifically for American politicians to take action in ending this genocide. You literally have more power than any other country has to do this. So please, thank you.
Christy Mook. Christy Mook.
Thank you, Council. My name is Christy Mook. I was here last meeting, so I'm not going to take too much of your time, but I just wanted to to ask you to please support a immediate ceasefire in Palestine. This will protect whatever life is left in Palestine. The amount of people that are dead in Palestine are very significant. They've closed, I'm sure you all have heard, they've closed the Ministry of Education because all of the children have been killed. There's absolutely no more food left. They've gone through all of the canned food that they can scratch. And actually, Israel has been leaving cans of food as booby traps for people to open, which end up exploding in their face. So people are really in a desperate situation right now. They're freezing to death, and this has nothing to do with their religion, because we know that Armenian Palestinians who are Christian are being killed. We know that Palestinian Christians are being killed. We know that Jews also oppose what Israel is doing. Many Jews oppose what Israel is doing because they don't want their religion to be used for genocide. The same way that the Nazis were able to use their ideologies to commit genocide, many Jews are against their religion being used in that way. And they're very valid in that because Zionism is a colonial project. I don't know if any of you guys know this, but if history went differently, we would be talking about another country right now. We would be talking about Argentina or Uganda or USSR or Japan or Hawaii. Those are all the places that they wanted their Zionist project in. It has nothing to do about Palestine or religion. This has to do about life. And you, like the previous speaker just said, you are quite literally the only people that can stop this genocide, because we are the only people financing this genocide. Without our money, without our bread and butter, there's no more dead babies. It's that plain and simple. Thank you so much.
Daniel Vargas.
Hi. I'm also here to support the ceasefire resolution. If you divide 29,500 by 138, you get about 200. That's 200 lives, 200 Palestinian lives a day. Half of Palestine is children. So that's about 100 every day that have died. I don't see anything in life more important right now than to witness this and do what we can. I don't understand reality after a traumatic event happens every day. Reality seems to shift, right? So I think we owe it to ourselves, to dignity, to human dignity, to do what we can. If we don't have dignity, then we ask the worst of things to happen to us. If we do, then we treat every person as we would like to be treated. The golden rule, right? I didn't plan to talk today, but you know, this is what I think about a lot. So I thought I should, and yeah, I hope you find some more humanity if you need it. Let's remember that Palestine before before the Zionist mission project, Christians, Muslims, and Jews lived together pretty harmoniously. And let's not, listen to Zionist propaganda. You can find a lot of good social media that isn't paid for by big corporations and the U.S. interest, and we're not going to act as if there isn't so much money between Israel and the U.S. government that prohibits us from really speaking up, right? So, as Americans, it's vital. It's more important than anyone else because, like the sister said, we provide the bombs and that kill the children. So, thank you.
Gabriel.
Good evening. 28,000 people have been killed in Palestine, 28,000 Palestinians. 12,000 of those, sorry, that number is actually higher now, it's 29,000. 12,000 of them children. 70% of all the people killed are women and children. That alone should be more than enough for everyone to stand up and say, this needs to stop, ceasefire now. Everybody, including the city council. But apparently it's not because we don't have a resolution yet. So, years from now, people are gonna ask all of us that are living through this horrible injustice, what did you do in the face of genocide? Did you have the courage to stand up against injustice? Did you have the courage to do the bare minimum and call for a ceasefire? I want to be able to say I did everything I could to stop the genocide. I said, no more. I want to at least be able to say I did the bare minimum and called for a ceasefire, especially if I was in a position of power like you are. I can't imagine the eternal shame of people who are going to have to say, I didn't have the courage to do anything. So tonight, we're asking you to have the courage to do something. Call for a ceasefire, end the bloodshed. As she said, stop these babies from being blown up because you do have the power to do that. Thank you. Oh, sorry. As always, Palestine will be free.
Beatrice Noilart. Beatrice Noilart.
Hi, I wasn't actually planning on speaking today. This is the first time I've ever spoken in front of a council. But I'm here to also call for a ceasefire resolution to be added to the agenda because, as everybody has pointed out before me, this is an issue about human rights, about humanity. We are here because we believe that this impacts every single person on the globe. Palestinians have the majority of the support worldwide. They have the majority of the support here. As you can see in this room, we're all here because we want to stop the bloodshed. I actually go to Cerritos Community College. I'm taking the semester off, but I do go to Cerritos Community College, and from what I've learned from the professors there that are great, you know, they teach us to be who we are, to speak with confidence, to speak with, you know, courage, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to use my voice. As everybody else has mentioned, you guys have the power to actually call for a ceasefire resolution that, and other countries are just basically waiting on the United States to do so. I'm not sure if you guys saw how basically we had, at the UN, we had the US be the only one standing alone, vetoing a ceasefire, which is super embarrassing considering how every single other country has supported a ceasefire resolution in Gaza. We need it to end. We are the laughingstock of the international globe right now. Like, we are just a laughingstock because we're the only ones standing behind Israel as it commits this genocide. And as American citizen, I need this to end because we have seen how the US has bombed the Middle East for 20 plus years now, probably longer, you know, and we need all of this to end already. We are fed up. American citizens are fed up funding it, and I am fed up having to work and have my taxpayer money go towards bombing more children in the Middle East. So let's just please put this on the agenda so that we can vote for it because the people here want this to stop. Yes. Thank you.
An honorable mayor and mayor's.
Take a pause and then because go ahead now.
I see no further speakers
Okay.
registered.
Anyone else like to speak before we close the public comment? Seeing none, we'll close the public comments. We'll bring it back to the council with consent calendar.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and a second. Mr. City Clerk, Madam City Clerk, can you close all the roll call, or do we just?
The electronic voting will be activated.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's not working. I vote yes.
And the motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. The next item is the public hearing. Do we have anything on public hearing, Mr. Lopez?
No, Mayor Pro Tem, there are no public hearings this evening.
Okay, so we'll go to new and old business. We have item 9A.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council. Item 9A follows up on past City Council direction for staff to work with the Parks and Recreation Commission to study potential options for pickleball at Liberty Park. The report also includes council consensus action to consider possible options related to pickleball in other areas of the city. This item was prepared by Sherry Titus, our Recreation Services Superintendent. Unfortunately, she was unable to be here this evening. Our acting Public Works Director, Dario Samos, did work with Ms. Titus in preparing this report, so he will be presenting this item this evening. And also we have with us this evening Samir Patel, Recreation Services Supervisor, who can assist with answering any questions that are specific to pickleball programming. So with that, I will defer this presentation to Mr. Simoes.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Good evening, council members. Tonight, I'd like to present the consideration for the feasibility of converting 2 tennis courts at Liberty Park into dual-use courts, and also the investigation of potentially using Gar High School for 2 new courts in collaboration with ABC School District. As council requested, staff had looked into this and researched this consideration. It's important to note that 230 courts, approximately pickleball courts, exist within the vicinity of Cerritos. 13 of these courts are located within Cerritos. 10 of those 13 are contained within the Don Canabe Regional Park, and 3 of those courts are contained currently at Liberty Park. What is also important to note is that the courts at Don Canabe Regional Park, those courts are free before noon and free after 4. Sorry, no, at a fee. They are charged at a fee to use before noon and after 4 p.m. But between those times, they are free, while the 3 courts at Liberty Park are free all the time. Since January 2023, staff has analyzed and kept track of the pickleball use and the tennis court use at Liberty Park to determine how these 2 courts, these court plays are used. And it turns out that both courts, both games are used at the exact same time. This is to say that the times that most people are playing pickleball, most people are also playing tennis. So between the hours typically of noon to 4 p.m., there are very few people playing pickleball and or tennis. Prior to those times and after those times, you have the large amount of number of people playing tennis and pickleball. In discussions with the ABC School District, they made it known that the location at Gar High School is planned to have other improvements at that location, and the school district is not interested in having pickleball courts installed at Gar High School. So that option was not made available to the city. If the city were to choose to resurface a tennis court, the approximate cost for resurfacing it, in other words, restriping it, if you will, the configuration is approximately $3,000 per court, per pickleball court, not per tennis court. The alternate locations that staff has looked into per the request of council and per the request of the report is at Liberty Park. There are 2 courts that could be installed in a location that is an existing CIP already is determined. The existing CIP calls for the reconfiguration of 2 picnic tables areas that are south of 195th Street. And that location could be used to create 2 new pickleball courts. The approximate cost of those 2 new pickleball courts would be approximately $80,000. And the other option would be to create pickleball courts in other locations of Liberty Park, which are currently grass area use only. So they would be converting what is called non-active space to active space. In other words, picnics, park of various grass use to an active pickleball court. In the Parks and Recreation Commission, dated on December 7th, 2023, the commission considered this with a robust community engagement, and the commission voted 5-0 to recommend to council that 1 tennis court at Liberty Park be converted to pickleball. Not a dual use, but that in essence, 1 tennis court be converted into pickleball court usage, be restriped and repainted. So therefore, the 6 tennis courts that we have at Liberty Park would become 5, and we would gain another potentially 4 new pickleball courts within that area. Then consequently, on January 25th of this year, the city manager was directed to determine the feasibility of courts on the east side of the city, as well as Liberty Park. Staff took a look into this, and it appears that the most suitable location for the creation of new pickleball courts towards the east side would be most likely Frontier Park. The reason that Frontier Park would be chosen is that it presents the most usable amount of space. It is a local park that has existing bathrooms, and there's sufficient parking for the expected amount of athletes that would show to play the sport. What staff would recommend would be a more in-depth research for a location along the east side of the city, if council would like to entertain that. At this time, staff would like to recommend that council review and discuss the information that's provided within the reports in front of you, to also review the recommendation by the Parks and Recreation Commission, and then to direct staff accordingly. Thank you. If you have any questions, I, myself, Mr. Lopez, and Mr. Patel will be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dario, for the report. Council has a question for staff.
I have a question. Thank you for the report. Was there any consideration to add or modify courts at CPE?
I can help answer that, Councilmember Johnson. In the staff report on page 4, there's a list of several parks that were considered by city staff. And Cerritos Park East is listed on that list. It's item number 2. It is a fairly large park, but it does have quite a bit of amenities there, and it's quite heavily programmed. We did look at that as a potential option, and it was concluded based on several programming needs that already exist at the park, that it would be challenging to find a location for pickleball outside of any existing tennis court. The most feasible locations, in other words, the existing passive open space areas in the park, happen to also be very close to existing residences, and staff was concerned about potential noise impacts associated with that. One of the advantages of Liberty Park now is that it is quite buffered from residences by major streets as well as the river channel. We don't have the luxury of that in the many other parks which were designed to be integrated into the neighborhoods.
Okay. And also, just like what was done at Liberty, was there a study done on the usage of the tennis courts at CPE?
That is an option, much like that's an option for Liberty Park. I do understand, and Mr. Patel can speak to this further, that there is quite some demand for the existing tennis courts. They're currently used by patrons, residents, and non-residents alike. And there is currently an effort by city staff to undergo an RFP for for a tennis teacher. And staff anticipates that once tennis classes are offered again by the city, that use would probably increase in the tennis courts.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm really not a fan of the dual use courts, but I thought I would ask that. And one last question, just like Liberty Park, and I probably should have asked this, and I don't really expect an answer because I don't want to put staff, without any notice. But are there any CIP projects at CPE, like what is at Liberty Park, where we could take a CIP project and then change it into a standalone court?
We do have currently in the CIP budget a few projects at CPE. They relate to items like field improvements, the baseball fields, as well as parking lot improvements. We recently completed a landscape improvement project there in the parking lot, and other similar activities. There are no current plans in the CIP for pickleball in that park. If there is direction by the city council, that can be incorporated into a future fiscal year budget if there's direction.
Thank you.
But the challenge there is finding a location.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Thank you for answering my questions.
Okay. Ervo?
I have a quick question. Like any other projects, when we provide service or provide a business, parking is something that the ratio is something that we have to look at, right? So if we were to create a pickleball court, let's say at CPE, would that trigger a parking issue for the parking lot where we would have to provide a certain amount of parking spaces for the services that's provided at that park?
Thank you, Council Member. We do have on page 2 of the staff report kind of an hour-by-hour breakdown of usage of the pickleball courts at Liberty Park. So at the 3 pickleball courts at Liberty. The peak usage, as was referenced in the presentation, is about 11 people per hour. Potentially that's 11 cars, as many as 11 cars in the parking lot, depending on how people access the park. The park is used at all times of the day, but there's ebbs and flows. So it's possible that there could be parking impacts. We'd have to study that further.
You know,
And
my question is when a developer comes and based on square footage of that building, I know that there's a certain space amount of parking is required. If we were to, although we're not adding square footage, but we're adding service to that park, would that trigger any legal requirement for the city to now have to increase parking spaces in the lot? Because the impact is the one I'm concerned about as well, because when you have people showing up for a great park like CPE or any park, that we don't want them to be burdened with parking issues as well. So is it possible we can also add parking spaces if that's something we're going to look at these parks for a pickleball court, that we can add more spaces to accommodate the extra 11, 12. But, you know, I would think that once it's known that we have pickleball courts at a certain location, that it may attract more folks to come play. So I understand you base it on the Liberty spaces, but probably because it's been there for a while, that there is that issue of it's crowded, and therefore some people might get turned away and go somewhere else. But if there's knowledge that, you know, we're offering more pickleball courts, they may attract more folks to show up to play. So I'm just asking if it would does legally have to trigger some type of parking space requirement.
the city does have parking requirements. I'm actually looking at the code provisions right now, and I'm not seeing anything specific to this use. Typically, parking standards are based on building square footage, as you alluded to. If there was an interest in adding more parking, I know that space at the park is pretty tight. We could study that further to see whether there's an opportunity for expansion of parking. But it would really depend on maybe where courts could be incorporated.
Yeah.
The existing parking lot that's adjacent to the existing tennis courts, for example, there's really no room to expand and add more parking in that spot.
I just know at CPE that, you know, during baseball season, it's horrendous to find a spot, even on the street. And parents park, you know, quite a distance just to walk to the baseball field because, you know, during baseball season it's packed and impacted. Plus we have the swimming pool there, tennis courts, track, and so forth. So, you know, if we are going to look at something where we're going to add additional recreational sport, I would like to also look at extra parking as well, because that would be a concern that we're attracting more folks to that park, and the burden of that park and the parking around the residential track is also something we should look at as well. And I have more comments and questions, but I'll reserve till we hear public comments.
Okay. Anyone else? No? All right, we'll open up the public on item number 9A. If anybody would like to speak on item number 9A, please give your name and come forward.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, at this time I will read the written correspondence into the record.
Okay.
And then we will call upon speakers who have registered to speak through the electronic system. The following individuals expressed support for the installation of pickleball courts at Cerritos Park East: Sam Desai, Shalva Krish, Shashi Kadambi, Preman Kazakedath, and Murali Vasudevan. And that concludes our written correspondence. At this time, we will call upon the in-person speakers.
The first speaker is Teddy Lloyd.
Good evening. My name is Teddy Lloyd. I've been a Cerritos resident for many, many years. I want to take this opportunity, first of all, I want to thank the City of Cerritos, the City Council, because it was exactly almost a year ago I requested, and then the mayor at the time and then the City Council agreed and then assigned it to the city manager, and then in turn with the Sherry's Parks and Recreation Department. And I want to be very grateful for that and always be very happy with the City of Cerritos doing all that, okay? And I did get a chance to look over this agenda report for this, and I personally have a lot of information that I can share with the city as to each of those decisions made by the city of Cerritos, especially regarding the east side of the city, which I have noticed that the staff proposed the Frontier Park. And I did some research, and I found out Frontier Park, not a bad selection, but I feel there are other locations that are even better and cost less for the city. And then I will, if any of you wanted to know that, I'll be happy to give you the details. If not, I'll be happy to provide it to whoever you assign it to, maybe the city manager's office and or maybe the Parks and Recreation Commission, because even by looking at it, I went by and study and analyze Frontier Park. I do see some cost disadvantages versus, let's say, Sunshine Park. And then, Councilman Chungvo mentioned that the parking and all that, I cover all of that information. If the city of Cerritos would approve, have 2 pickleball courts and at Sunshine Park instead of, let's say, at the Frontier Park. And then also the other locations, whether it's Liberty Park or Cerritos Park East, I'll be happy to share a lot of the information that I follow pickleball nearly for like 4 or 5 years, and I know all of the information relating to how courts are created and what are the benefits and disadvantages and all of that. So instead of me providing all that details, which I think would take a lot of time, I would like to suggest for the city council, just assign it to whoever the city staff would like to discuss that. I'll be more than happy to. And such as yesterday, I had an opportunity to speak to Dario with the city engineer. Very helpful. I want to thank him for taking the time. And he even suggested if I do, I'll be more than happy to sit down and discuss all the benefits and costs and benefits, because I tend to look at everything from a cost-benefit standpoint. So I'll be happy to do that, and just require the city council tell me who to talk to. Okay, thank you very much.
Sam Desai.
Council member, staff, manager, friends. Pickleball. A few years ago, I didn't know anything about it. Thanks to you, I'm now playing pickleball. Thank you, staff, for making time to review different options. I'm here on behalf of residents of east side of Cerritos about CPE and why we believe it may be a good option is, first of all, the proper analytics have not happened, in my humble opinion. When we look at whatever we have done at Liberty or whatever we have done at Frontier, if we can kindly do the same study for CPE, I'm sure that it will reduce a lot of concerns Councilmember Chungvo has about parking. And we do have advantages. When I started playing pickleball, I learned that there is a $10 fee if I go to certain parks. Now, on one side, we'll have an expense, and on the other side, it is possible for CPE to collect fees from out of Cerritos residents. It is within our rights or something that we can work on. Doing a rush job and going to Liberty, and I understand it's a good option. West Side, I know, but it's just that West Side, you guys have inspired us on East Side. And we want to play pickleball at CPE if it's possible. So please do an analytics. And look, Gar High School said no, ABC Unified School District said no. We'll work with city managers, give some ideas, and we want to participate. And if we are looking at long term, well, seniors are going to be playing pickleball. and we have to balance between tennis courts. I understand that. But please consider that the burdens and the challenges are there so we can solve them. And it's a solution that we should listen to majority of the residents who want to, start playing on this side of the city. Now, as far as the costing is concerned, it's going to be almost there. Safety, we have to look at that. So, council, please, as you give any direction, please at least consider CP as a solution. Thank you.
Mel Cortez.
Good evening again. Mel Cortez, Rios resident. I don't play pickleball. I never played pickleball before, but I see how residents and some of my friends enjoy it. It's a way for them to stay active and stay healthy. I have some friends that didn't play any sports before, and once pickleball started, I see them playing often. So I think it's good for our city to build more pickleball courts. It's a growing sport, and our residents will need more courts sooner than later. Why not CPE? I know Liberty Park has some courts. If it's possible to build a CPE, our council was willing to spend thousands of dollars on changing the name to Galucci Park. Why don't you use that money to build pickleball courts? Last night, we had a really nice movie for the Cerritos Auto Square. We spent a lot of money there too. So why not use some of the money that's gonna have, benefit residents directly? Not the Cerritos Auto Square or changing the name, but this will help our residents to stay active and healthy. So if you're gonna build more courts, anywhere is fine, but you could do it at CPE. There was money there already that you were willing to spend. So let's keep it right there for some of the residents that wanna play on the east side. And I don't live on the east side. Thank you.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, there are no others registered to speak on this item.
All right, anyone like to speak on this item, 9A? All right, Pat?
Thank you, Mayor and Council, to give me an opportunity to speak about pickleball. I really got interested in this sport. And I'm the chair of the Parks and Recreation, and overwhelmingly 5-0, we have recommended to the council to look into the matter of converting one tennis court at Liberty Park into 4 courts. That is the most cost-effective solution in my mind. And we said, as far as converting the second court, we'll keep that in abeyance depending upon how the first one goes. Now, I did a study by going to Liberty Park. We have 6 tennis courts, and I must have made about 4 rounds at different time zones. And I can tell you that out of the 6 tennis courts, there were only 2 tennis courts that were occupied. As far as the parking is concerned, there is no dirt, and there is no issue about the noise level. So I would really request you all to consider converting some of the tennis courts into pickleball courts at Liberty Park while doing a feasibility study on the east side. That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public comments and bring it back for the council for comments again, 9A.
Okay, thank you to staff on the report back on the council request for additional pickleball courts. Trends change, and as we as a city should be able to adapt and provide, if feasible, what our residents are asking for. In regards to Liberty Park, I support staff's alternate option of the construction of 4 dedicated pickleball courts and to use what was earmarked in capital project number 20106. That area has not had a shelter since 2012. I've not heard from residents wanting to restore the shelter, but what I have heard are residents that want more pickleball courts. So I thank staff for providing that option. And I like the idea of dedicated courts. I'm not supportive, or I'm not so inclined to do dual use courts. As to pickleball courts on the east side, I do not want to give consideration or move forward to place pickleball courts at any of our neighborhood parks. That's just a non-starter for me. Pickleball courts and games located in close proximity to homes, increase noise, increase traffic in those neighborhoods. And additionally, as mentioned in the staff report, there are factors to consider such as lighting and availability of restrooms. What I'd like to see is to move forward on having pickleball courts at CPE. While the staff report does not provide such an option, I would hope with this, in agreement with the rest of my council colleagues, that staff go back and report back to again look into CPE, including doing a study on the usage of the current tennis courts that will help us determine how we can move forward. I just think we need to kind of think outside of the box here. I understand that there's programming at the track and that's not an option, but let's really think out of the box here and see what we can do. And I do like what Mel Cortez said. If we were going to use the $60,000 to rename the park, why not in a capital project look at a patch of land where we actually build new courts? I think that would, this is a trend that's on an upward rise. There's going to be more pickleball players coming in the future. So let's see if we can perhaps have a capital project in the future to build new courts on a patch of land, or maybe even if you want to think bigger, have a center, an indoor center with indoor pickleball courts. It's a multi-use center where you can also use the center for other programming. So that's my thoughts. Thank you.
Councilman Wolf?
Thank you. Question about Liberty Park. There used to be indoor handball courts there, right? Those buildings still exist? Yeah.
Yeah, the building is still there.
It's dilapidated inside and everything.
It does need some work in the building.
Okay, is that building, would that accommodate pickleball court indoors?
It's possible. We'd have to measure the racquetball courts that were in there. We'd have to measure those against what the pickleball court dimensions are. We can double check that.
The staff hasn't looked into that, right?
To my knowledge, no.
And then I'm looking at the map of our city and all the parks. At CPE, those concrete outdoor handball court, I guess. I see folks using it, but at the same time, they're using it more just for fun than for competition or anything like that. Is that something that staff has considered? That's an area right there. If we were to remodel that area, knock down that handball court and just convert pickleball courts, I know it's going to cost more than what just building courts are, but it'll be demolition, all that stuff. That's something maybe staff can look at as well for that location, because I don't know how popular that spot is for folks play. I think that's would that be considered like a handball or racquetball practice? I don't play that, so I don't know. But is that something that we can look at as fitting a couple pickleball courts there and replacing that if it's not being used or not as popular?
Yeah, Councilmember Vo, those are outdoor racquetball courts. Same idea as the indoor ones at Liberty Park. We could study that. Again, we'd have to look at the dimensions, and if the council would like, we can investigate those options and then come back with our findings.
Because I know the agenda is for council to give you guys some ideas and direction, so that's what I'm trying to do. And then also, I was looking at Heritage Park as well, and Heritage Park is not as big as CPE or Liberty, but it's still set up as a kind of a larger park with a stage and so forth for activities. I wouldn't consider that a small local neighborhood park. in that sense, but at the same time, it's like a medium-sized park that probably would be able to accommodate parking, as well as possibly looking at some pickleball courts there for the west side of the city. So I know I was looking at the map, and something right there by the softball field, just north of it, between the parking lot and the softball field, because there's already an existing large park there. I don't know how the Ducks will feel about it, because that's their park, and I don't know how the pickleball courts players will feel when the Ducks take over, but that's something maybe to look at as well. And the other thing is that Gonzalez Park, which is right down the street from CPE, just north of 166, where the parking lot is, I've always thought that little parking lot was always way too small to accommodate the baseball families that play baseball. Those 2 fields, I believe. To accommodate extra parking, maybe we can extend it out further, and then put a pickleball court right there by the fence of the school, in that area right there, maybe to look at, and that will accommodate the west side. These are just options. I'm throwing it out there, but I also think that we should be building new pickleball courts, not taking over tennis courts, because I know when COVID hit and we had to shut down and reschedule the courts at Cerritos High School, I received lots of complaints that they can't use those courts, the tennis courts, anymore, and it's difficult for them to play, and they have to accommodate them somehow. And although the tennis players aren't here to voice their concerns, I just know when we had to close down, or Cerritos High School took hours away from us, and we couldn't accommodate that need for our community, I received phone calls from tennis players that they couldn't play there anymore, and when they go to the other courts, it was full. So I think we should build more pickleball courts and not take over, because we have pickleball advocates here. I guarantee you we'll have tennis advocates that going to come in and say, hey, we're taking up courts away from us. And I'd rather just accommodate both parties and try and make it a happy place, right? So those are some of the ideas that I was just looking at the map and to accommodate the west side. But then I really like for you to look at those indoor racquetball courts, because they're literally just sitting there, not being used. And I don't know if that's something we can convert back into indoor pickleball courts. I don't know. Maybe 1 court, 2 courts. I don't know. Because I've never been in there, so I don't think it's been open since I've been here.
There are some maintenance items that have to be addressed with that structure. So cost may be a factor in converting that space. A more economical option may be the ones at CPE that was referenced, the outdoor courts. But we'll take a look. If the council would like, we can take a look at all those options and report back.
Yeah, but if that building is sitting there not being used, I don't know if you're using it for storage or what, but if it's sitting there and it's just there and it's just collecting dust or causing issues with infrastructure and so forth, let's go ahead and just, make use of it instead of just leaving it there barren like that, dilapidated. So something we as a city should also look at our own property and see if we can convert that to make it a better use for our community. So even if we don't decide to do that, I would like to think that we're looking at that space to do something. But those are my ideas. I would prefer to build pickleball courts, not convert, because again, that's just I would like that. But I wouldn't. I understand CPE is a good option, but staff should also look at the other locations too, see what we can accommodate for the pickleball players. So, and if we are going to do that, parking at CPE is something I would like to look at as well. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Frank, anything? No.
I'm in support of the Park and Recreation Commission recommendation to convert 1 tennis court at Liberty Park to 4 standalone pickleball courts, and not recommend dual use of the courts. I'm also in support of building 2 more pickleball courts at an estimated cost of $80,000 at Liberty Park, to change the scope of CP number 20106, which will result in a savings to the city of $20,000. So that's 2 brand new pickleball courts at Liberty Park that are not converting for any other usage. It's space that's being unused since 2012. And I understand that the Parks and Recreation Commission had a robust discussion regarding, including public comment regarding converting 1 of the 6 tennis courts at Liberty Park. So with a 5-0 recommendation, I like what I heard from the Parks and Recreation Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Let's follow up on that. I also agree if we can go ahead and earmark that project to do the pickleball court at Liberty, I'm all for that. 2 new courts, that's great, and the location's great too. But I also want to accommodate the west side. So I don't want to forget about the west side to look at CPE as well. But I agree with Frank. If that's something we can move forward to, just put those, if that's a savings for the city as well, and that's a project we can, instead of putting new benches, put new pickleball courts, and a cost savings, and it'll still provide that 2 extra courts in the time that we wait to research something on the west side. That's a good idea.
I think you mean east, right, Chung?
I'm sorry, east side. Yes, east side. Yeah, east side.
I'd like to see if we can bifurcate the 2 sides of the city, the west side and the east side. And perhaps I'd like to make a motion then just for Liberty Park, is the recommendation that both my colleagues had talked about was to use the funds from the capital project 20106 and to use that to create new pickleball courts, as well as go with Parks and Recreation's recommendation of the conversion of the pickleball courts that they recommended. And then when it's appropriate, we'll discuss and make motions on the east side. So mine is just in reference to Liberty Park.
So you're saying you want to convert for multi-use, or just convert 1 court for just pickleball use?
It's the one that
The one the staff, yeah.
the
I
Parks
just
and
want to make sure
Recs.
that's what you're, okay.
Yes, the Parks and Recs. But the one, the capital project, that's just standalone, only pickleball. That's my motion.
Is it a motion, or were we going to continue discussion? We could try and get a sense from the full council. I don't know, Mayor Pro Tem, if you wanted to offer any comments. But to your point, Councilmember Johnson, you could, this is set up in such a way we could have 1 motion that may encompass everything. You could have a
I just
couple
didn't want it to be
motions if
confusing.
necessary.
Yeah. Because my colleagues may have a different idea about CPE. This way we get some flexibility on our decision-making. But I'd like to hear from the Mayor
So
Pro Tem.
I think on Liberty Park, I think we should convert, again, as Pat says, that most of the time those courts are empty. But on the weekend, those courts are very, very busy. On Saturday and Sunday, those tennis courts are completely filled from almost 6 in the morning to at noon or 1 o'clock. So I don't know if the staff has done that study on how often, how much is been used for tennis court.
Yeah, there's.
The number that shows, it only shows for in the morning, but is that for Monday to Friday or also on a weekend too?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Patel, who can elaborate on the figures that were included in the staff report.
Yes, thank you for the question. Those numbers are for all 7 days, so we encompass the entire week. So that is the average during those times when the facility is open, when we have pickleball players. Obviously, pickleball, since the courts are not gated, players can come and go before the facility is open, after the facility is open. So we do understand that numbers could be higher before 10 a.m. And that's typically the case because pickleball players are there at 7 a.m. It starts to trickle down when staff arrives around 10. And then the facility closes at 8 during the weekdays and then 6 o'clock on the weekends. So there could be still players after staff leaves, but we don't capture those numbers because we don't have staff there.
So
Tennis courts, though.
I'm asking only for tennis court at the
It's-
Liberty
Yeah.
Park.
You're
It's,
talking-
al-
That's what
it's
you're talking
also,
about?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Same thing. So the courts are open at night.
So
We
this
don't
number
lock them.
that you provided, those are when the staffs are present.
Correct.
So if the players are playing the courts, we have no idea how many courts are being used and how many players are playing tennis.
If it's not during operating hours, no, we don't keep track of that.
Okay, so that's 10 a.m. Someone need to go look at it at Saturday and Sunday at 7 o'clock over there. People are waiting. Yeah. So I don't think this stats is correct and it's right. So I'm in favor of building a new courts rather than converting anything because I don't think we have even enough for players who plays tennis. And as far as the east side, I think we need to look at those empty spaces and build a new one. Taking from existing tennis court to convert, I don't think is right. And if you're going to hire a new teacher and start training the young kids, then we will need more courts. And if we're going to convert, then we got short of the courts now. So I think we really need to look at it to build a new one, both places, at Liberty Park and at CPE, or any other park like Mr. Wu mentioned.
Council, if I may, based on what I'm hearing, it sounds like there may be potentially a majority in favor of one component of what staff has laid out, and that is adding 2 new pickleball courts in accordance with the capital project. It is conceivable that you can consider different items separately, just to consider each question separately if you like. So I'll just offer that up.
Perhaps then I can amend my motion just from the conversation I'm hearing from my colleagues, is that we will go ahead and build the new courts in place of that capital project 20106 at Liberty Park, and also build new courts at Cerritos Park East.
I'm not comfortable right now to vote to build at CPE until staff does a thorough report on what they can do. But if we're going to give them direction today to do it, that leaves out that option is, okay, you're going to have to do it. And if they come back and there's concerns, we have to address that. So
That's right. You're right. And it would require a report back. You're right. I'll take back that motion. I'd like to, sorry, going back and forth here. I'll stick to the original motion then. Let's stick with Liberty Park, what I had said in my original motion, to do the project of building new pickleball courts at Liberty in place of the current capital project 20106.
It's not in place of it, it would change
Oh,
the
it
scope
changed.
of it.
It would change it. Thank you.
So wait, you said you want to do your original motion. Your original motion was to change also one court, tennis court.
And
So I'm
the-
confused. Which motion are you?
the motion is to change the project to build pickleball courts at Liberty, and as well as take into consideration the Parks and Recreation's recommendation of converting one tennis court into 4 standalone pickleball courts. So they, in essence, would get 6 courts
So
altogether.
you want to convert and build new, that's what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, I'm no for that. I'm just on a Liberty Park, just build a new, look into build a new court at the CIP project. Not the converting anything what we have in the existing for tennis court.
I second Linda's motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second, and if I understand the motion, Councilmember Johnson, it was for the project of building 2 new courts at Liberty with the modification of the CIP project, as well as accepting the commission's recommendation to convert 1 tennis court to 4 standalone pickleball courts.
Right, so this way
And
we
that's the
would get a
second that
total
you
of,
understood too, Councilmember Yokoyama? Okay.
yeah, it would be a total of 6 courts, 4 new ones, 2 new ones with the capital project, and 4 new ones from the conversion of a current tennis court, as what was recommended by Parks and Recs.
Okay, there's a motion and second before the council.
This way and I just want to explain, this way we would get an immediate availability of a conversion. I think that project would move pretty fast on a conversion. You're just restriping, and then players can start pickleballing months from now. So that's my motion. And I have a second.
Are you going to vote?
And the electronic voting should have been activated. And the motion does not move forward with a vote of 2-2.
City Attorney, can I make a motion, even though we voted on this, to make a motion to do something else, since there's been a vote already? Because it's a tie, so that it didn't pass. I can make a motion.
That particular motion did not pass because the staff report did lay out options. It would be okay to make another motion that could then be voted on by the council.
That was just my concern.
Except the same one that just was made.
Then would it be appropriate just to make a motion to go ahead and build new pickleball courts as capital project 20106?
At Liberty Park.
At Liberty
That
Park.
that would be an appropriate motion.
Okay, that's my motion.
I'd like to make a substitute motion, please. There got to be a second first, huh?
Correct.
Okay.
Is there no second on that one?
I'm interested in hearing what all the council members want to
Okay.
say now that we did not pass the previous motion. I'm interested in hearing what my colleagues want to say.
Okay. Councilmember Johnson, do you want to withdraw your
I
motion
will
at this
withdraw
point?
my motion.
Okay, okay. It's open for discussion at the council.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to direct staff to go ahead and convert that capital project at Liberty Park, build 2 new pickleball courts, and then also give staff direction to bring back to City Council a possibility of building on the east side of Cerritos, incorporating CPE as one of the parks, but open to any park that you, as staff, deem is appropriate for us to consider.
Second that.
Are we still able to discuss?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. I appreciate the motion from Councilmember Vo. Again, though, I'm not interested in any other park but CPE. Again, neighborhood parks are a non-starter for me, so that's my comments on that.
Mr. City Attorney, can you repeat the motion?
I was actually going to ask if I could get clarification. Did you get that, Madam City Clerk or
I did.
Councilmember Vo? Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. The motion was to convert or change the scope of CIP Project 20106 to construct 2 new pickleball courts, and then
It wasn't about convert though.
or to construct 2 new pickleball courts,
construct.
and direct staff to conduct research for the installation of pickleball courts on the east side of Cerritos, in consideration of any park.
I believe that the motion included mention of CPE specifically as among potential options to be included.
Yes, the motion was to look at CPE as one of the main options, but giving you, staff, an option to also look at others.
Can I make a substitute motion?
If yes, you may.
Okay. Again, the same motion as Councilmember Vo to go ahead and move forward on Capital Project 20106 to construct new pickleball courts, and then to look at report back from staff on the feasibility of having new pickleball courts at CPE only. That's my motion.
So you don't want to look at none of the other Frontier Park or Sunshine Park, none of the other?
No, I think Councilmember Vo mentioned Gonzalez. I'm not in favor of that. Parking and the proximity of residential homes is an issue. Frontier Park definitely is not as a non-starter for me. I really would like to see it at CPE. It's our flagship park. It should contain a pickleball court.
There was a substitute motion. There's no second. So back to the original motion by Councilmember Vo and seconded by Councilmember Solanki.
Can I comment?
Sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I've heard over the last few years the residents' interest in playing pickleball in our city, and they're always looking for ways that we can, as a council, consider the requests from our pickleball courts here in our city with our numerous parks. So while I'm very, very disappointed that the city council did not go with the Parks and Recreation's Parks and Recreations Commission's unanimous recommendation to convert one of the 6 courts at Liberty Park after a lengthy discussion, including public comment at their Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. I want to help the residents get some pickleball courts. That's why the motion in front of us to add 2 new pickleball courts at Liberty Park is better than 0 pickleball courts in our 0 new pickleball courts in our city. So the last motion failed. I'm looking forward to voting yes on the motion in front of us, because that means 2 more pickleball courts at Liberty Park, and I'm looking forward to staff bringing back a report that can inform this council about any and all opportunities to have more pickleball courts on the east side. So I'm looking forward to voting yes on the motion, because it means more pickleball courts. Thank you.
And
I have a question regarding the Park and Rec. Samir, was this the same hourly report was given to the Park and Rec Commission too?
Correct. They also received the same data.
But I'm telling you, this is not correct report. That courts in Liberty Park's been used much more than what it shows in this paper. So in this agenda. So if Park and Rec Commissions just saw this report, not looking at actual to see what kind of occupancy we have on Saturday and Sunday on weekends, this, of course, they're going to make a decision based on this report, and which is not right.
Mayor Pro Tem, thank you for the comments and input on that. As was mentioned, the data was collected by staff just working hours only, and understood that there may be additional persons that are there earlier in the morning, potentially significantly more. But we appreciate that, and staff can monitor that appropriately. Before there's any action taken on the motion, I would like to make one correction to the staff report that was just brought to my attention. The project number referenced in the staff report was 20106. I've just been informed that the number is not correct. The project number should be 10804. Just for the purpose of memorializing that in the minutes, I just wanted to ask that number be corrected. But there's no change substantively to what's being presented.
Yeah, I didn't actually refer to the code on my motion. I just referred to the project, capital project. So we understand the council feels comfortable when we do take action on this. My motion is not just limit one idea of one park. I'm talking about looking at CPE and then also looking at other parks as well. So that's my motion. So I get that we want it at CPE, but we shouldn't just limit it to CPE. And that's why staff has the direction to also bring back to us at a later date other possible feasible parks that can accommodate pickleball court. And Frank, and I appreciate your comments because I want you to feel comfortable. I'm not trying to say that we only build at CPE or only build at Heritage Park or only build at Gonzalez. My direction was to have staff bring back a report, which park is feasible, mainly focus on CPE, but not just limited to CPE. We had a speaker come talk about Sunshine Park. We have, I was looking at the map, and there's other locations that we could consider. So it's not about just building one court or 2 courts or 4 courts at CPE. It's about looking at other parks as well. So this gives staff the open space, pun intended, right, to look at a possibility of bringing other parks online as well. So that's my motion. I'm not saying don't do it at CPE. I think it was very clear. I said mainly focus on CPE, but gives the staff direction to look at others as well. So I'm ready to take action. I'll call the question. I'll call the question.
I can't ask a question.
I'll repeat that.
I just have a quick question to my colleague. So Chung, on the report, they did say that they looked at all the parks, including Gonzalez and Sunshine. I just want to know your thoughts on having pickleball courts in those neighborhoods because of the noise and the traffic. That's all I wanted to know.
And I also threw out there some other options in parking as well and Heritage Park.
Okay.
And there's also, those are the options. Now, if staff comes back and says noise is an issue, which was on the report about Frontier Park, the noise is an issue. But until we give staff more specific direction to look at those things, one specifically is about parking. Now, at Gonzalez Park, my boys played baseball there. There's a lot of folks there screaming and hollering. And so it's not uncommon for a sporting event to be at Gonzalez Park. And 166 is not a residential street. I think it's a major thoroughfare. So that's why I'm open to that. I wouldn't consider that a small residential stuck inside a residential tract. I'm uncomfortable at Frontier because of the noise issue. Sunshine Park is something that was brought up. I'm uncomfortable about the noise there as well because there's no actual competition at that park. Frontier, I can see there's I believe there's a baseball, softball court, I think there, field there. But at the same time, I've been to that park. It's a smaller park, residential there. I just don't want to limit staff to just looking at CPE and then coming back and say, these are the issues, and now we got to look at something else. Let's just do it all at once. But I really think that staff also should look at Heritage Park because that's set up for sports, or with that field there. We have our fireworks show there, at the high school, but folks go there, and we have a lot of things, events there that draws crowd, concert under the stars. That's another option. I just don't want to limit staff to just one park. But although I think CPE with that outdoor racquetball court that probably isn't as popular should be something we look at.
Okay, I understand. And real quick, Samir, if you could just explain the noise that we're talking about. It's the noise of the paddle hitting the ball, right?
Correct.
That's the complaint, right?
Well, yes.
Yeah, it's loud.
It's a hollow ball, yes.
Yeah, it's pretty loud. Okay, all right.
Have we had complaints of that?
It's an ongoing issue, just pickleball wide. It's something that we keep track of, just because it's a popular sport. But we haven't had it at Liberty because it's far away
There's
from
no
here.
residential close by.
I know in LA County Department of Parks and Recs, that has been the complaint. The biggest complaint is the noise of the hitting of the ball. Yeah.
But I want to follow up on Chong's question. I want a clear answer. Has our city received complaints about people playing pickleball in our city?
About the noise level at Liberty Park?
Has
No.
our city received complaints about people playing pickleball in any regard?
Just in general, just playing
In
pickleball?
any regard, are people unhappy that people are playing pickleball in Cerritos?
No.
So have we received any type of complaint about people playing pickleball in Cerritos? Robert?
Thank you, Councilmember. To my knowledge, no. The primary comment we receive is that there's interest in.
It just seems like people want to play pickleball. I don't hear anybody being unhappy with people playing pickleball. So until we start getting complaints, I haven't heard of any complaints about people playing pickleball. So that, I'm just wondering about if we're concerned about things that residents are complaining about. That's all.
I know we're kind of beating us over the head, this motion here, but now you had mentioned that it's a understanding of pickleball that's the noise issue. Councilmember Johnson said at the county level, that's the complaints they get, but that wasn't in the report. So that's an issue when it comes to, if that's an understanding that at a pickleball court, if the noise of hitting the ball back, I don't play pickleball, but that's something that, if that's an issue, and then we build a court, invest all that money, and then the residents do complain, when we might have example at the county level that they're receiving complaints already, we need to know that, right? So
maybe in your motion then, Chung, includes in the report back the noise level,
Well,
how far it goes out.
and that's why I made
Yeah.
it general for staff to study all that,
Yeah.
to bring back to us, not just SCP, but at other parks as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
So
we are aware that noise could be an issue. It's not in Cerritos, as mentioned, because Liberty Park is well buffered, but in certain neighborhood parks, it could become an issue due to proximity. But if I'm hearing the direction correctly, we will take all those factors into account in coming up with recommendations as for potential locations in areas that make sense to avoid potential noise impacts.
and then that would be a more thorough report for us as well, so we can decide if noise is an issue or anything else that may be researched with other cities, the county that they've done this already. You know, I know we just study ours, right? And what we do, we plan really well. That's why we haven't gotten any complaints from the residents, and I give that up to staff when you decided to implement these designs. And so therefore, we got to be careful and very thorough and be considerate of the residents as well. I'm open to doing it, but we don't live in those tracks as well, so we got to take that in consideration as well. But I'm open to it.
If Chong's motion passes, Robert, when can construction start on the new pickleball courts at Liberty Park, and when will we have the report back to the city council as requested by Chong's motion?
I'm going to answer the second part of the question first, as far as bringing back a report. I'll have to consult with our recreation team. I imagine we can bring back a report within the next couple of months on potential
What's
new
a couple of months?
within the next 2 months. We have to evaluate, look at these options that were discussed, look at cost as well, and we can present that information. But to answer the first part of the question related to the capital project and building 2 new pickleball courts at Liberty, I'm going to defer to Mr. Simoes.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. That's an excellent question. I believe that with the use of on-call contractors and putting out a small RFP bid document for a striping contractor or a court surfacing contractor, I believe that work can begin within a month to a month and a half, and it would take approximately a month to 2 months to complete in order for the concrete to cure properly, and then subsequently place down the striping or the coating. And then also, one must not forget that posts and nets need to be provided at these courts as well. So total begin construction about a month to a month and a half, and total end of construction up to about 3 months.
And thank you, Dario and Robert. I understand you guys are giving us estimates. I just appreciate you giving us those estimates. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and second, and Madam Clerk, will you call roll call on this?
Thank you. Would you like to do the roll call or
Will they
electronic
just-
voting?
Electronic is good.
Sure, yes. We'll activate that. Thank you. The motion passes by a vote of 4-0.
Okay. All right. Thank you all. Next item is Robert 9B.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council. This next item, 9B, is a follow-up to prior action taken by the City Council as it relates to purchasing policy. It's essentially a cleanup ordinance that will make sure that our municipal code conforms to established policy. The presentation this evening will be given by Mr. Carey, and following that, he and I will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Mayor, members of the City Council, the item before you this evening is a housekeeping item that serves to conform Chapter 3.2 of the Municipal Code with the amendments to the city's purchasing policy that were unanimously adopted by the City Council this past December. As you'll recall, the amendments to the purchasing policy were adopted to update bid threshold requirements to enable a more effective administration of the purchasing policy, provide staff with the appropriate levels of flexibility to expedite bid processing, and most importantly, ensure that the city has appropriate levels of oversight in the purchasing process. Additionally, the modifications to both the purchasing policy and correspondingly those to the municipal code this evening include provisions that address conflicts of interest, which affirm that the policy and the code are governed by applicable state law and the city's charter provisions on conflict of interest. Staff is taking the opportunity to update Chapter 3.2 of the Municipal Code in order to align it with the purchasing policy to ensure consistency throughout both documents. The conforming changes to the code are outlined within the staff report and are directly related to the adopted amendments of the purchasing policy. City Council may also recall that the modifications to the purchasing policy were reviewed and recommended for approval by the Policy and Procedure Ad Hoc Working Group. Accordingly, the amendments presented this evening serve to conform the code with the recommendations made by that group. As with the December 14th presentation of the purchasing policy changes, the staff report this evening also includes a discussion of the city's broad jurisdiction as a charter city to govern and regulate its contract and purchasing policies and standards. The provisions presented this evening are comprehensively within the scope of the city's authority as a charter city. With that overview, staff is confident that the amendments tonight serve to increase operational efficiency, encourage greater vendor participation, maintain sufficient oversight in purchasing standards, and improve the clarity and effectiveness of the municipal code and conform the code with the purchasing policy documents in an effort to ensure consistency throughout both. Accordingly, staff is recommending approval of the ordinance before you. With that, I'll conclude my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan, for the report. Council has a question for staff.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Ryan, thank you for that report. I appreciate it. And congratulations on your appointment as the assistant to the city manager. I'm bringing that up because this agenda report says Ryan Carey, finance manager, so I don't know if we have to fix that in the minutes, but this might be the last agenda report that says Ryan Carey, finance manager, right?
It will be, yes.
Okay. So, Mr. City Attorney, my understanding is that the state contract limit, under state law, the state contract limit is $5,000 for the minimum threshold amount for items requiring bidding. Is that not applicable to us because we're a charter city? Is that not applicable to the city of Cerritos? I just want to make sure that we are in compliance with applicable state law.
Yes, thank you for the question, Councilmember Yokoyama. And the short answer is yes. As a charter city and specifically Cerritos, because of what our charter and municipal code allows for, we do have broader contracting authority than general law cities do. And so to answer your question, that $5,000 limit that is referenced for certain bidding requirements in the public contract code expressly by state law as well as by case law does not apply to charter cities like Cerritos that have specific provisions that address the issue. So that's a long way of answering your question. You're correct.
Okay, thank you. And so, like, just looking at the this agenda report, where Ryan laid out the summary of the adopted changes to the purchasing policy, and I just talked about the first bullet point. So, is your answer related to the first bullet point on page 1 of the agenda report? Does that apply to those first 3 bullet points that because we're a contract city, we're able to make these changes to our purchasing policy, and we are not violating any applicable state law?
That's correct, because we're a charter city. That's correct.
Okay, great. Thank you for confirming that. As a charter city, we're legally allowed to make these changes to the purchasing policy. Thank you.
Bill, one more thing. Thank you, Frank. So is this amount is in the charter written, the specific amount?
The specific amount, actually, it is not. And as the council may recall, the charter was amended on several provisions in 2022, and one of them was so that there would not be a specific limit in the charter anymore, and it's basically the limit would be as directed and adopted by the council, which again, as I was explaining to Councilmember Yokoyama, is allowed and consistent with state law.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, if anyone else like to speak on this item, please come on item 9B. Seeing none, we'll close the public comments, bring it back for the council action.
Move to approve.
Okay. We have motion and second.
And the motion passes by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you.
And this item will come back for second reading on our next agenda.
Okay. Item 9C, Robert.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council. Item 9C is a follow-up informational report. It's a requirement under state law to do an annual report related to the general plan. The presentation of item 9C will be given by Ms. Chan, and following her presentation, she and Ms. Aguila and other members of our staff would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Good evening, honorable mayors, mayor and members of the City Council. The item before you this evening is an informational report on the city's 2023 General Plan Annual Progress Report to be submitted to the California Governor's Office of Planning and Research, OPR, and the California Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD, as required by the Government Code. Before I begin, I'd like to note that the document before you was a cumulative effort by almost all departments and divisions of the city. So I'd like to extend a thank you to everyone involved and for all the hard work and efforts during 2023. At this time, I would like to turn your attention to the screen for a brief PowerPoint presentation. A general plan is a state-mandated planning-related policy document establishing long-term guidance for the physical development, planning, and zoning of a city through various goals and policies. The city's current general plan was adopted in 2004. Each year, the state requires cities to prepare a general plan annual progress report, summarizing its efforts in implementing goals and policies found within a jurisdiction's general plan specific to each element within its general plan. The information in the General Plan Annual Progress Report also includes annual housing data that is required to be submitted to the state as a separate progress report as a housing element annual progress report. Both reports are required to be submitted to the state by April 1st of each year. In response to this requirement, the city has prepared its 2023 General Plan Annual Progress Report for submittal to the state. The city's 2023 General Plan Annual Progress Report provides a comprehensive overview of the city's ongoing efforts to implement the general plan's goals and policies during 2023 and includes updates such as recent general plan amendments, significant accomplishments, interagency coordination, and implementation status of programs. In 2023, updates for the implementation of programs were made in the land use element, community design element, circulation element, housing element, safety element, conservation element, open space and recreation element, air quality element, growth management element, and RENA progress. Specifics on these updates and implementation efforts during 2023 are provided in your agenda report and in the report's attachment. On February 7th, 2024, the Planning Commission reviewed and discussed the General Plan Annual Progress Report document. After a thorough discussion on the various implementation efforts, the Planning Commission received and filed the item. At this time, as this is an informational item only, staff recommends that the City Council review and discuss the information contained within the General Plan Annual Progress Report and receive and file this report. Upon the Council's review, staff will submit the City's 2023 General Plan and Housing Element Annual Progress Report to the State in advance of the April 1st, 2024 deadline. This concludes my presentation. I thank you for your attention this evening. With that, staff is available to answer any questions that the Council may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina. Does council has any question for staff? Seeing none, we'll open up the public comments. Don't see anybody in public. So we'll close the public comments and bring it back for the council. for
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
Okay.
And the electronic voting, I believe, has been activated.
I vote yes, I just can't get mine.
Okay, thank you. The motion passes by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you all. Under new and old business, item 9D, Robert.
Thank you. This last new and old business, item 9D, is also an informational report as it relates to progress on our current fiscal year budget. The presentation this evening will be given by Mr. Kemp, and following his presentation, he and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez, and good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the City Council. The item before you is a review and consideration of an informational budget and audit compliance report for fiscal year 2023-24. The purpose of this report is to provide a summary overview of the city's fiscal status through the second quarter of the fiscal year, and that covers the period of October 1st through December 31st of 2023. It's important to note that the city's financials are not quite finalized for the second quarter, and so amounts in the report are subject to change pending the full review during the audit process. I'd like to direct your attention to the screen. The City Council adopted this budget on June 22nd, 2023, with an appropriation of $148 million for a one-year package of services and projects for the benefit of the Cerritos community. The composition of this breaks down into $119.5 million in operating expenditures and $28.5 million in the Capital Improvement Program, or CIP. This was an overall increase in expenditures of about $12 million from the prior year. Revenues were forecast up $13.3 million from the prior year, resulting in a total projection of approximately $138.2 million for all funds. Table 1 in the report provides an overview of the budget activity through the second quarter. Shown here are adopted and amended amounts for revenues and expenditures, along with actuals and percent of amended budget to date. The fiscal year 2023-24 budget adjustment log, or BAL, is attached as Exhibit 1 to the report and summarizes all budget amendments executed through the second quarter. It includes expenditure adjustments in both operations and the CIP project accounts. As of the date that the data was compiled, overall revenue actuals were $54.1 million, which represents about 38% of the amended budget. Operating expenditures and encumbrances were at $51.2 million, or 42% of the amended budget. And capital project expenditures and related encumbrances were at $16.1 million, or 32% of the amended CIP budget. Revenue amendments through the second quarter totaled $2.5 million. Operational expenditure amendments include new allocation increases of $1.9 million for an adjusted total of $121.4 million. And finally, cumulative CIP amendments through the second quarter include increases of $21.5 million for an adjusted total of $50.0 million. Much of this increase can be attributed to carryovers from the prior fiscal year for projects that were started but not completed in fiscal year 22-23. At this time, I would like to turn the presentation over to City Engineer Dario Samos to highlight some of the recent progress that staff has made on some of these CIP projects. Dario?
Thank you, Peter. As is customary during these times, Public Works just likes to showcase some of the projects that we've been working on as per council has requested, not only as part of the CIP process, but as part of their goals. This project here is 14088 is part of our residential street rehabilitation. This is area kind of 2 of what will be planned to be resurfaced this fiscal year still. We are currently going through the concrete and tree rehabilitation of this neighborhood for a total of approximately $800,000. This is funded through the RMRA fund, and as you can see, the area is bounded by San Gabriel River, 183rd Street, Palo Verde Avenue, and just a little bit to the north, which is not included, a neighborhood, a condominium neighborhood that is bounded by Artesia Boulevard. Next slide, please. These are just some photographs of this neighborhood. You can see, part of the extensive work that we do. We're replacing sidewalks and replacing trees that are causing damage. And this photograph here showcases that not only do we do sidewalks and curbs and gutters, but driveway aprons that are in significant damage. We also repair those that are in significant damage. Next slide, please. This is another project that is fully funded through a Metro reimbursement. This project was awarded about a year and a half ago, actually. The reason it took a while to construct post-award is because traffic signal poles are very difficult to obtain nowadays. The steel is very difficult to mill and obtain. So this project is very near completion. It is a traffic signal at Carmenita and South Street. The northbound and southbound left turn lanes have doubled. In other words, now we have 2 northbound and 2 southbound left turn lanes at this intersection, along with new signage and some new traffic signal heads, and the relocation of a traffic signal controller for ADA purposes. Next slide, please. This is part of the residential pine tree reforestation program. This is a citywide project. These are location-based pine tree removals and replacements within the parkway. This is a first-come, first-served program that the city has. Residents can apply to become part of the list, and these trees are removed citywide on a sporadic basis. This is funded through the general fund. We are about 50% through with this project in terms of the amount of trees that are being removed and replaced. Next slide, please. This project here is the CCPA roof replacement. What you see in the photograph there is the area that is above the Sierra Room. Previously, some years back, about 5 years ago, we replaced the area over the kitchen and over the meeting space proper. However, the air conditioning space was not waterproofed. So as part of the overall roof replacement at the CCPA, this was added into it to make sure that the entire or more of the building is waterproofed than not. This project was awarded at $2.485 million, and it is funded through the CCPA Endowment Fund as part of the Shuttered Venue Operators, I believe I say that correctly, Shuttered Venue Operators Fund that was awarded post-COVID. Next slide, please. Speaking of roofs, we are currently also working on the senior center roof, the flat portion area. The tile roofed area is in good repair, but the flat portion roof was not. This project was awarded for just shy of $600,000, and this is a photograph that shows not only is it being resurfaced, but the boards that you see that the contractor's walking on there, they are new insulation, which should help with the air conditioning and the heating element within this building. Next slide, please. This is a project that has been ongoing for a while. I know it is very impactful here for the City Hall, but it provides a large and a very good impact towards the city's operations and towards the longevity of the city's sewer system in the future. This is a project that is known as the groundwater remediation for the Civic Center. There is an underground dewatering pump station within the parking structure on the lowest level. And currently that water is disposed into the county's storm drain system. As it's disposed into the storm drain system, the city is subject to verifying the constituents, making sure that the chemical constituents are not detrimental to the rivers, and as well as subject to potential fines if they are in exceedance of certain chemicals. What this project will do is deconnect it from the storm drain system and connect it to the sanitation sewer district, and therefore we would not be subject to the testing, and nor would we be subject to potential fines if this water is further contaminated. This is an extremely complicated project, and it is very impactful. So we know that the public has had a lot of patience with the city here to make sure that the parking has been difficult in the parking structure, but we are nearing completion. And once the project is complete, we will definitely come back to council and let you know. This project is important to note that it is funded through the Measure W local return over many years. So as years go by, the city will, in essence, reimburse itself for the cost of this project. Next slide. A sister project, if you will, to the dewatering project is the Civic Center parking structure rehabilitation. What this project does and has done, it has waterproofed the structure. The structure, as you know, is about 20 years old, and over time, movement, earthquakes, parking, age, minor cracks appear, and while they are not structurally deficient, nor are they structurally detrimental, in order for them not to become structurally detrimental, we need to waterproof the structure every so often. So that's what this project went through. It determined all the locations of cracks. They've sealed them with epoxy. And furthermore, we have repainted the entire parking structure to try to bring it back to its former appeal. One thing that is still yet to be done as part of the parking structure is to re-lamp all of the parking structure lights, replacing the fluorescent light bulbs for LED technology. This project was funded through the general fund. Next slide, please. I'll send it back now to Peter for the continuation of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dario. So as a new element of the quarterly report, we'd like to give some progress updates on the city's strategic plan. As you'll recall, the city introduced strategic planning to the budget process in fiscal year 23-24 to align the budget with the community needs. On January 28, 2023, the City Council held a strategic planning session where they identified 5 priority goals for fiscal year 23-24. A detailed progress update is attached to the report as Exhibit 3. I would like to highlight just a couple of the progress points that we've made since the last update in December. Goal 1 related to street and tree rehabilitation, arterial street rehabilitation, Bloomfield Avenue landscaping, and the residential pine tree replacement programs are in progress currently. As it relates to Goal 2, to increase and augment sales tax revenue, the city has launched the Shop Cerritos program website and is preparing an RFP for economic development strategic plan. The third goal related to public safety programs, staff recently completed a placement study for automated license plate reader cameras and upgraded the department operations center phone system. For goal number 4, related to technology, infrastructure, and use, the City Council recently awarded a contract for municipal broadband business plan, and a conduit was recently installed at the city's golf course. And finally, as it relates to increasing fiscal transparency, staff from the finance, budget, and MIS divisions recently attended the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers annual conference, where they met with several vendors and attended some educational sessions as it relates to ERP implementation. And finally, we wanted to give you just an update on the audit and the current year's budget cycle. The Finance Division finalized the fiscal year 22-23 financials during the second quarter. The city's external auditor completed their work, which resulted in the publication of the ACFR, or Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. This report has been given to the City Council, and a report will be given to staff, by staff, at a meeting upcoming in March here. The current budget process is underway for fiscal year 24-25. The City Council held a strategic planning session on December 2nd to kick off the fiscal year 24-25 budget process. During that meeting and a few subsequent meetings, they determined their priority goals for the fiscal year 24-25 budget. Staff is currently finalizing the preliminary budget proposals with the city manager's mid-year review scheduled for later this month. At this time, staff is recommending that the City Council review and consider this report and its exhibits and direct staff accordingly, and review and ratify the executed budget amendments from the second quarter of fiscal year 23-24 as summarized in the attached budget adjustment log. That concludes my presentation. Mr. Lopez, myself, and all staff in attendance are available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Peter, for the report, and Darius, thank you. Council has questions for staff. Seeing none, we'll open up the public comments. If anybody there, none, nobody, will close the public comments and bring it back for a council action.
Move to approve.
Second?
Okay.
The motion passes by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you. Next item, we have the item 10, legislative item.
Thank you, sir. We don't have any legislative items to present this evening.
Okay. Reports from the city manager.
Thank you. I have one item, and that is that I would like to formally announce at this meeting the appointment of Mr. Ryan Carey to the position of Assistant to the City Manager. In this role, Ryan will be supporting the City Manager and the Assistant City Manager in our activities as it relates to administration of the city and also implementing the City Council's policies. Ryan has been an employee of the city since 1997. He has served in various roles, various departments in the city, including recreation, the water billing division, community development, budget office, and finance division. So he has a breadth of experience and knowledge that will serve us well in overseeing various interdepartmental programs for the city. At this time, I'd like to turn the mic over to Mr. Carey, if you'd like to say a few words.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you to the City Council for this opportunity. I'm very proud to have devoted my career to the city of Cerritos, dating back to my earliest days as a rec leader teaching basketball classes in the community gyms. I've been very fortunate to have been mentored by some of the best municipal managers in the industry, starting with Mr. Galucci. And I'm very excited to be having the opportunity to work alongside Robert as we work together to implement the City Council's vision for the community. So I'm excited about the opportunity, and again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan, and congratulations.
Congratulations, Ryan.
Okay, 11B, council communication. I'll start with Councilman Linda Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. On February the 18th, I was at the Whitney Houston Tribute at the CCPA. And of course, last night, as we all were, at the CCPA for the documentary film premiere of the story of the Cerritos Auto Square. It was great to see past mayors and council members that were involved in the development of the Auto Square. And I do want to make a comment about the Shop Cerritos website. I've looked at it. I'm impressed. I like it. It's very modern, user-friendly, especially like the neighborhood shopping centers list. And then it goes down and lists all the merchants in those centers. I didn't know we had so many centers. There is a tab for eat and drink. I just wondered if there was a way to move some of the information that's under neighborhood shopping centers and to identify those places just for eat and drink. Like folks that are visiting Cerritos just want to know where to get boba or where to go eat. And I also want to ask, is the chamber promoting this website as well?
To answer that, I'm going to defer to Ms. Aguila.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the City Council. As mentioned by City Manager Lopez, the Shop Cerritos website was just released this week, and so staff has not yet consulted with the Chamber of Commerce for advertising this website and really partnering with the Chamber to ensure that this information is available to businesses or prospective businesses. We wanted to first make sure that there's no inaccurate links, et cetera, and there are not. And so that'll be the next step is reaching out to the chamber accordingly.
No, it's a great website. I know I'll be using it. I didn't realize we had so many of those neighborhood centers. So thank you. Thank you to staff on such a great project and for making this happen.
Thank you.
I will add just for information, we have also promoted that new website on our social media channels, and we'll continue to do that on a ongoing basis.
Great.
Councilmember Yokoyama.
Thank you. Tonight, I just wanted to say a few quick things. I was happy that I attended the red carpet premiere of the AutoScore documentary last night. It definitely exceeded my expectations. I didn't know I didn't plan on being so entertained and educated about the AutoScore sitting there watching the documentary in our beautiful Cerritos Center for the Performing Arts. And two things I wanted to say about it is I was, glad that my mom joined me to watch, to join me at the red carpet premiere of the documentary, and we were so surprised when one of the many clips of our residents and families popped on the screen of the documentary, and it was my mom with my nephew Keanu, and so we were both really excited to see that was one of the images of Cerritos captured in the documentary, my mom and my nephew Keanu. And of course, we immediately went home and found the documentary on YouTube and shared it with my family, including the little clip of my mom and my nephew. So the documentary is on YouTube. It went live last night. Also, I am happy that the director, Todd Huffman, came and gave us updates leading up to last night's red carpet premiere here at our city council meeting. He gave us updates, and I don't know what his plan was, but he heard me talk about another reason Cerritos is in pop culture is because of Star Trek Lower Decks and the USS Cerritos, which is going to be one of Star Trek's starships in the future, named after our city. And I thought it was awesome that he incorporated that more recent aspect of pop culture that's putting Cerritos on the map, that the USS Cerritos was shown in the documentary last night. And that just makes me think, when I'm out there as a Cerritos council member at conferences or events where I run into other electeds, whether it's California or even across the state, every now and then, it's happened a few times now, the other electeds bring up Star Trek Lower Decks, they bring up the USS Cerritos, and so that's a way that electeds in cities across the country are hearing about our city of Cerritos. Another thing, I just wanted to let everybody know I'm proud of our kids. I'm proud of our high school, our ABC high schools, who are playing tomorrow and Saturday for CIF finals. So tomorrow, Friday, 5 p.m. at Artesia High School, the varsity girls soccer team is playing in the CIF finals. And I plan on attending. And now that if there's any soccer fans out there and high school fans, now you know it's just here in our city. CIF soccer finals, Artesia High School varsity girls soccer tomorrow, 5 p.m. On Saturday, it's just such a fantastic season, awesome story. The Cerritos High School girls basketball team are playing in the finals, the CIF finals, tomorrow night, Saturday night, and the Cerritos High School boys basketball team is playing in the CIF finals Saturday night as well. I think it's 6:30 p.m. for the girls, 8:30 p.m. for the boys at Edison High School in Huntington Beach. So we have 3 of our awesome local high school teams playing for championships this weekend. Just wanted to make sure everybody knows that. Let's cheer on our boys and girls to victory in representing our district, but also representing our city of Cerritos. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wu.
Thank you very much. I'd like to just echo, excuse me, echo Councilmember Yokoyama's comments about the Cerritos ABC's sports team that has been year after year continuing to impress our community and to highlight our city and our members in this community with the energy and the strength of our local teams here at our high school. I'm so proud of the kids that go to Cerritos High School. You know, every year we just are so impressed by their accomplishments. And I actually would have loved to be able to go to those games tomorrow, but like again, sports, my son has a baseball game tomorrow at the same time. So I'm going to have pick him over those CIF games. But if he didn't, I definitely would be watching that, and excited to hear about Artesia High School as well. Speaking about Cerritos High School, I was fortunate yesterday to be selected as one of the members of a interview panel for the next Cerritos High School principal. So that was a very exciting time for me. We spent the whole day interviewing members, other principals, other people that want to be principals. And it was a different type of interview. It was interesting to see, but whoever gets the spot, I'm very confident of the poll that we saw, that person is going to be an exceptional principal next year for Cerritos High School. I also, same day, yesterday, attended the documentary at the Auto Square. And, you know, very impressive. It blew me away. I personally, I don't know about the rest of the council, I personally never saw the final product until last night. And, you know, it was nice to see all the effort that was put into it. And then also see all the clips. And I also noticed your mom as well. So that's exciting to see members of our community out there. And it's just, you know, it's so nice to see the collaboration, the relationship that our city and the history that started our city, really. And the fact that certain things were implemented by our prior council, prior city managers to make sure that we're in good hands today. And it was just nice to confirm all that, because I've known that, being a council member, that decisions in the past that were made for the future of our city. And it's just nice to see it in a documentary. I also wanted to bring up in regards to the website. I know that, and Aaron, in regards to overall our city website, I don't think we've had recently a MIS committee meeting in regards to that. So I would just, you know, it's been a while, so I'm hoping that we see some progress in the actual city website and updating that.
I can just generally report that the city is prepared to launch the new full website fairly soon, by middle of this year. All of the staff from all of our departments are hard at work right now, converting the existing pages into the new pages. It's a team effort. Our communications team is leading that and providing guidance to our staff, but everyone here has been involved directly in preparing that content. So we're looking at middle of this year as a launch date for the website. I'd say by June, it's our hope. So stay tuned, and we can provide that information to the City Council when it's ready.
All right, thank you. And that's all I have.
Thank you. I don't have, I do like to ask Daryl and Captain Drew that regarding this burglary and crimes going in our city, do you have any reports? And our residential are complaining that there are more and more burglary going on.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. Thanks for providing us an opportunity to respond to that. Yes, there has been an increase in residential burglaries. Historically, we are still down. In fact, let me just refer to my notes here. But again, statistics don't help people who've had their homes broken into. And, you know, we are an attractive city in that there, last time I looked at the stats, last year, over $9 million was stolen inside the city of Cerritos through theft and or burglaries. You know, we have very robust shopping districts, and we have very successful individuals who have a lot of things, you know, of value in their homes, and that's what attracts people here. But working closely with Captain Drew Strong here, who can talk about it, we are reaching out to all of our neighbors. One of the things we've done recently was working through our neighborhood watch and having Mark Smith, who's one of the city's CSOs, community service officers, who's a retired deputy sheriff. So we now go out and personally contact everybody who has been a victim of a residential burglary. Where before we wouldn't do that, we take the report, do what we can, move on. He comes in afterward to contact people to see if there's anything else we can do and sign them up to the neighborhood watch and provide a site survey, if you would, to make recommendations. Because on occasion, people get burglarized again. You know, we have people who have, you know, although we don't publish it, there was times people had a collection of Rolex watches, gold bullion, you know, very expensive items, right? And so a lot of times the criminals wait 6 months, wait for the insurance to be paid, wait for people to go back out and repurchase whatever it is they lost, and they come back and steal and reharvest it, if you would. And so we want to make sure that we inform people. We've had several people who had their safes stolen outside their home. And we constantly are telling everyone, if you can carry it in, they can carry it out. But, you know, it's that kind of messaging that is going to drive the crime down. It's definitely getting everybody involved. I know we had a speaker here this evening talking about getting the word out in crime. I can assure you all crime is reported. All police agencies are mandated that they report crime to the FBI so that they can do those annual statistics. The crime is reported on and available on crimemapping.com. That's posted within several days after the earn number is pulled by the deputies. That's there. We put out monthly stats. We put out weekly stats. Although there are some, although we publish all crime stats, we don't always publish every detail of every crime for various reasons. Sometimes there's law enforcement officers involved. Sometimes there's dignitaries. You know, we don't post that. Sometimes, you know, there's sensitive crimes involving juveniles and or sex-related offenses, those kind of things. We don't post the details on that. Sometimes there's very high value. We don't post the details if somebody's a diamond merchant living in whatever block, you know, and they've had $200,000 worth of stuff stolen. You know, we don't post that to make them a victim. But all numbers are available, but again, not all the details. But ultimately, what we want is all the information out for the community to be alert to what's going on, who's doing it, when they're doing it, how they're doing it, so that they can take preventative actions. And so empowering the community is the only way we're going to do this. Last time I looked at the stats, Sheriff's Department, you know, countywide, just not LA County Sheriffs, but everybody, solve rate for residential burglaries is about anywhere from 6 to 8%, which means 92%, 92 homes out of 100, you're never going to see the stuff. They're never going to be solved. And so prevention is the way to go. I'd like to just pass it over to Captain Drew Strong. He can talk about what he's directed his deputies to do to see if we can, you know, further educate and or abate the residential burgs. Drew?
Thank you, sir. Yeah, so currently our deputies are, we've enacted a program where we're having a couple extra deputies on patrol in March, do some saturation patrol in some of these areas that are hit. We're also trying to encourage people that we come in contact with to make sure they lock their gates Also leave a light on at night in the interior and exterior of the home. Try and leave a car in the driveway. Do some of the basic things to deter criminals from coming to the houses. In addition to that, we're going to do some other mitigation efforts to stop crime. However, I don't want to release everything that we're going to do in this meeting right now. Some of it's sensitive in nature. So currently, we're looking at the statistics. The burglaries are up about 157% right now from this time the year prior. There's 18 total right now this year. Last year at the same time, there was 7. So we are definitely working on that right now as I speak, and deputies are diligently working every single day on patrol to try and deter criminals from coming to houses. Our biggest strength is, in educating the public on what to do to keep criminals from coming to the house. So I encourage everybody to also join Neighborhood Watch and follow some of the direction provided inside there to keep criminals away from their homes. So that's all I have.
If I could just add a couple of things for statistics. The trend is definitely going up. There's no question about that. We had almost 150 residential burgs last year, less in 22 and even lesser in 2021 because of COVID, a lot of people home. But prior to that, in 2019, we had almost 185. Before that, there was about 220. And in 2017, we had over 350 residential burglaries. So we were always operating, higher. We're much lower now, but we're definitely trending back, and that's something we want to avoid. There's a lot of factors that go on to that. But like we say, ultimately educating the population is the number one thing. Having people looking out for neighborhoods, calling the deputies when they see suspicious people. Empowering the community is the way we're going to do it. But, we benefit from very robust shopping districts, very successful, hardworking people who live here. And that's no secret to the criminal element. And it's been like that for 20 years, So, again, crime is down historically, but it's trending up. So,
Thank you very much for that report, because as I was talking to one of the residents yesterday at the theater, their homes got broken in and took almost $400,000 of items.
yes, we try not to put dollar amounts out there, but we have some very successful people here in the city.
Thank you.
And
So I'm sure that they're probably going to replace with insurance and might get hit again. See, I think this kind of information need to be, residents need to know about it, I think.
Absolutely. And then when the criminals go back, they share and boast, hey, guess where I just came from and look what I've got, right? And then that empowers other people and inspires other people to come here as well. So we're aware of that, and that's why the deputies are very alert to all that.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you for asking for an update. That's good information. So it rang a bell for me. So Peter let us know that under our strategic plan progress update goal 3, we completed the Alper camera placement study. So when are we going to have our Alper cameras put into place?
Thank you for providing that update. We just got the recent pricing reviewed with Public Works where they're going to go. That project is now residing with LA County Sheriffs. It's been budgeted and the plan is in place. Now it's just a matter of implementing it. So I actually sent an email to the people in charge there asking for an approximate time to see where we are in the installation process. There are no other impediments. Funding's in place, the plan's in place, everything is in place. It's just a matter now of purchasing the cameras and installing them. And I would imagine that's going to be done within, no more than 8 weeks.
Go ahead, question?
Yeah, I do. Thank you. And thanks for bringing this up. For the captain, can you share with the public the method of entry for some of these burglaries? Because I know we spoke just recently, and I just want the residents to hear if there's a trend that you see. And sometimes when there's a trend, that means it might be just one crew or 2 crews versus this increase might be happening because we have multiple folks breaking in. But when there's a trend, it tends to indicate there may be just 1 or 2 crews. And if we do that and let the public know, that's more specific that they can at least look for and hopefully assist, because deputies aren't everywhere. And if our residents are aware of the type of method that these criminals are using to enter our homes, that can be something of a helpful for the residents to look out for. So if you can share that.
Yes, thank you for the question, sir. So some of the trends that we've been seeing are individuals entering the locations from rear gates and shattering the windows in the backyard, whether it be a sliding glass door or the windows in the back of the residence. So that reiterates my comment earlier when I was saying, make sure you keep your gates locked. All these things that we provide information on Neighborhood Watch, so important for people to do to keep themselves from being victims of burglaries. So lock your back doors, lock your side gates, keep your lights on the interior and exterior, keep your car in your driveway. If you have a dog, that's great. Signs up, alarm signs up, having alarms, cameras, all these kinds of things deter criminals from picking your location to be the prime spot to burglarize.
Thank you. And I also want to share that, without going into the details, that our sheriff's department, they are actively working these cases, and they're getting results. And without sharing the details, I'm very happy with the efforts of our sheriff station here in Cerritos.
So if I could just add one more important element, and that is it's not like it used to be where maybe someone was under the influence of drugs and one individual broke into the house. We're seeing crews now. Last time neighbors were alerted to someone who looked like a burglar. When they're out front, the person in the car honked the horn, signaled to them. So we're seeing groups of 2, 3, 4, and 5. So even if you have an alarm or cameras, what you're having is 3 or 4 people entering the house, everybody going in a different direction, or a search in a room, and they're done in 3 minutes and out. So they're not spending a lot of time in there. And so be very alert to people sitting in cars and several people, as opposed to just one strange individual. If you see one suspicious person, you should immediately look to the street to see if there's anybody else sitting there. And if you see someone, certainly call the sheriff's department. We don't encourage anybody to actually engage them, but call the sheriff's department and let the paid professionals come out and investigate.
Thank you very much for the reports. Thanks, Captain. Okay, next item we have is the closed session. So we are going to adjourn for the closed session at this time and end the regular meeting.
Yeah, can I make
Recess. Huh? Oh, go ahead.
Just real quickly, just to read it into the record, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council, there are 3 closed session items tonight for public employee performance evaluation pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957 for the 3 charter employees in the city of Cerritos, the city manager, city attorney, and city clerk treasurer. And Madam Clerk, did you have something else to?
I do want to ask a question about the closed session. Should we postpone it since Bruce isn't here?
If we could go, it shouldn't take long. We'd like to recess into closed session just to bring up a couple items, and if anything needs to be continued when the mayor is back here, it shouldn't be a problem, but we did want to bring a couple items to the council's attention tonight.
Okay.
I did ask that, Frank, before. I said, should we hold on to closed session? I said, Bill says that it was.
Sorry, I missed.
One of the item, I guess, is important, so we need to go on this.
Okay, thank you. I didn't hear. Thank you.
All right, we'll recess.